Welcome to the Crime for Sleep channel. Let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Story 1, the mysterious apartment held its secrets, pipes that groaned, floorboards that creaked in the dead of night. But one tenant, Sarah Coleman, sensed something amiss. The footsteps she heard were too deliberate, too precise, echoing from above in a rhythm that chilled her bones. Strange, considering she resided on the top floor. One evening, mustering courage, Sarah tapped the ceiling with a broomstick. The footsteps ceased, plunging the space into an eerie stillness. Then, a solitary knock resounded from within the ceiling itself. Sarah kept the oddity to herself, brushing it off as the settling of an old building or perhaps a stray critter seeking refuge in the attic. Despite the nightly footsteps pacing above her, she adapted, drowning out the unsettling sounds with blaring TV and bedtime headphones, desperate to escape the methodical footfalls that traversed her ceiling in the shroud of darkness. Detective Morris was drawn into the enigma when a maintenance worker stumbled upon a concealed crawlspace during routine repairs. Removing a section of drywall near Sarah's unit to fix a leak, the worker uncovered a hidden passage not documented in the building's plans. Illuminated by a flashlight, the passage revealed a clandestine living area adorned with food remnants, water bottles, a tattered blanket, and a worn notebook. The police were summoned promptly, and Detective Morris, alongside his partner Rivera, found the worker visibly shaken, muttering about someone dwelling within the walls, watching. The notebook held meticulous notes on Sarah Coleman, her routines, her visitors, even her dining preferences. The once neat handwriting deteriorated into erratic scrawls interspersed with cryptic symbols. The subject no longer responds to my signals. The final entry read, "She has chosen to ignore me. No one ignores me." Forensic teams scoured the crawl space, unearthing fingerprints that evaded identification in any database. An intricate network of passages within the building's walls and ceilings, some decades old, was unveiled. These passages interconnected 5 different apartments but converged on viewing points disguised as innocuous fixtures, all leading to Sarah Coleman's abode. Interviews with current residents yielded no unusual occurrences, save for the typical apartment clamor. However, former inhabitants painted a different picture. 3 prior tenants of Sarah's unit recounted feeling an ominous gaze upon them or hearing unexplained movements. One had swiftly vacated after a mere fortnight, fearing ridicule for their unsettling experiences. The case pivoted when forensic analysis revealed minute blood traces in one of the crawl spaces, matching the DNA of Martin Weaver, a former resident who had vanished without a trace 4 years earlier. His abrupt disappearance, coupled with complaints of noises from above, pointed to a quiet man named Edward who had lived in the apartment below Martin. Edward's nomadic past, marked by frequent relocations and a penchant for top-floor abodes, unfurled a chilling pattern. A search of his remote property unraveled a nightmarish trove, a cabin plastered with photos and notes of apartment residents, detailed journals chronicling observations, and a corkboard adorned with missing persons reports. The excavation behind the cabin unearthed multiple graves, each a damning testament to Edward's sinister past. As forensic experts toiled to identify the victims, Detective Morris revisited Sarah's building, only to discover a new clue, a notebook wedged into a crevice near the ceiling. The notebook's ominous inscription hinted at an undetected sanctuary, sending authorities scrambling to evacuate Sarah. Yet her apartment lay deserted, save for a cryptic message etched on the misted bathroom mirror. look up. Edward Mercer, the elusive perpetrator, remains at large, his expertise in construction enabling him to craft his covert realm of surveillance. Sarah Coleman's fate hangs in the balance, entwined with a string of vanishings spanning multiple states. Detective Morris, haunted by the phantom echoes of unseen footsteps, finds himself gazing upward in solitude, pondering who else might be listening in the silence of the night. Story 2. The ancient box lay hidden beneath layers of forgotten clutter in the attic, a relic lost to time from the previous inhabitants of the house. Among the faded Polaroids it held, capturing moments of joy and celebration, there was one that stood out. In that last photo, taken in her very own living room, a family sat on the familiar couch, framed by the same curtains she had seen every day. Yet these faces were strangers to her, and in the background lurked a shadowy figure, barely visible in the dim light, watching silently from the hallway. Rebecca's heart skipped a beat as she gazed at the unsettling image. A shiver ran down her spine, sending a tremor through her fingers that made the edges of the old photograph quiver. The family in the picture, a woman with honey blonde hair, a bespectacled man, and 2 children, smiled innocently at the camera, oblivious to the ominous presence lingering just behind them. Their happiness frozen in time, unaware of the danger mere feet away. Descending the creaking wooden stairs, Rebecca felt the weight of her house pressing down on her, the emptiness and vastness of it suffocating her spirit. Placing the photograph on her kitchen counter, she scrutinized it under the harsh glare of the fluorescent light. The similarities between the room in the photo and her own home were uncanny: the archway, the crown molding, the bay window basking in the morning light. This was undeniably her house, yet these strangers had made it their own. Detective Morgan arrived, clad in a worn leather jacket that spoke of countless investigations. His sharp eyes took in every detail as he examined the photograph with a practiced gaze. Running a gloved finger along its edge, he turned it over, finding nothing on the blank back. "What do you know about the previous owners, the Nelsons?" he inquired, his voice a low rumble in the quiet room. Rebecca confessed, "Very little. They had already moved out of state when I bought the house through a realtor." Morgan nodded, his expression inscrutable. "May I take this photo? Our team might be able to identify the family." And so, the investigation began quietly, delving into the mysteries hidden within the walls of the house. The trail led back through the previous occupants, Crawfords, Mornos, and finally, the Sutherlands, who had vanished without a trace, leaving behind a void in the fabric of the community. Each family had lived in the house for exactly 1 year before disappearing, leaving no clues, no traces of their existence beyond memories and unanswered questions. Forensic analysis of the photograph revealed eerie details, suggesting a sinister presence lurking within the captured moment. The figure in the hallway, tall and male, stood motionless, his gaze fixed on the unsuspecting family. Enhanced imaging hinted at his identity, linking him to the long-lost architect, Samuel Whitfield, who had vanished under mysterious circumstances. As the investigation unfolded, the basement yielded its chilling secrets, revealing the remains of the missing families buried beneath the house. Among their belongings, a camera identical to the one used to capture the haunting photographs was found, along with a journal detailing the observations of the enigmatic watcher who had stalked the residence through the years. Rebecca, now under police protection in a hotel, received a late-night call that sent a shiver down her spine. The sound of breathing on the other end, followed by the mechanical click of a Polaroid camera, echoed through the silent room. The unsettling realization dawned that she was being watched, that the dark presence from the past was not done with her yet. The house, now a crime scene, stood silent and empty, a monument to the unsolved mysteries that lingered within its walls. Samuel Whitfield remained a ghostly enigma, his true fate unknown, and in the shadows, new families, new homes, new watchers awaited their turn in the twisted cycle of the house's dark history. The search for truth continued, haunted by the lingering presence of the man in the photograph, a specter from a forgotten past watching from the shadows. Story 3, the realtor's listing made no mention of a basement. The blueprints held no clue to its existence. Yet beneath the old carpet, a hidden door lurked. A handle, heavy and rusted, required 3 determined souls to pry it open. Stale air, pregnant with the scent of damp earth, greeted them as they descended the steps into darkness. Expecting storage, they instead found a solitary chair beneath a swaying light bulb. Behind it, a row of photographs, familiar faces captured within their own home. The Mercer family had settled into the suburban property amidst winter's early darkness and the barren trees of the neighborhood. The 2-story house, with its weathered siding and creaking floors, exuded character and history, or so they had believed. Little did they anticipate the depth of history within those walls, or the chilling convergence it would have with their present. Detective Sarah Connors arrived at the property with her partner, the crime scene unit already cordoning off the area with fluttering yellow tape. Mrs. Mercer's trembling voice over the phone had detailed the shocking discovery beneath their living room floor. "We must document everything before anyone else descends," Connors instructed, donning latex gloves with practiced ease. Flashes of the camera illuminated the stairwell in intermittent bursts as the forensic team captured the eerie scene. The wooden steps groaned under their weight. The basement, no larger than a standard bedroom, featured concrete walls painted a dull gray. Centered in the space, a solitary chair remained bolted to the floor, while above it the stark bulb cast angular shadows, twirling gently in an unseen breeze. Yet it was the lineup of photographs that seized attention. 37 images meticulously arranged in chronological order. "These date back nearly 4 weeks," Connor's partner remarked, studying the timestamps inscribed on the prints. "Look at this one, Mrs. Mercer napping on the couch, Mr. Mercer at the kitchen table, the children in their rooms." The investigation unraveled without signs of forced entry, no evidence of intrusion through windows or locks. The dormant security system had never signaled a breach. Nothing tangible had been pilfered, only their privacy and sense of security. Forensics unearthed multiple fingerprints, many belonging to previous owners of the house. Records disclosed 6 changes of ownership in the last decade, each family departing within a year, selling at diminishing prices. None had acknowledged a basement discovery. "We must interview every former owner," Connors directed, flipping through her notepad. The inquiry grew more unsettling as they retraced the property's history. Discrepancies emerged in the records, blueprints altered between transactions, permits withdrawn, inspection reports heavily redacted. A breakthrough surfaced during an interview with the contractor who had renovated the house 7 years earlier. His complexion paled upon viewing photos of the basement. "That chamber is non-existent," he insisted, his hands quivering. "I gutted that space to its foundation. No basement, no door, only soil and concrete beneath the living area." The memory card concealed within the light fixture yielded more images for their evidence board's depictions not solely of the Mercers, but of previous occupants. Children slumbering, parents bickering, intimate moments, mundane routines, all surreptitiously recorded by an unauthorized presence. The case delved deeper with the recovery of audio files from a weatherproof box nestled in the basement's corner. Conversations from the master bedroom, kitchen, living room echoed in the recordings. Despite the absence of physical surveillance devices during the initial search, the audio's clarity implied sophisticated microphones secreted around the house. "We must dissect every wall," Connors urged, her tone taut with urgency. "Probe the air vents, light fixtures, electrical outlets. The culprit has spied on these families for years." Beyond the photograph wall, investigators stumbled upon a slender passage leading to a monitoring enclave. A desk, a chair, a laptop linked to wireless cameras, and a journal brimming with meticulous observations on every family that had inhabited the home. Their routines, their schedules, their disputes, their vulnerabilities, all meticulously chronicled. The script mirrored samples from the property's original constructor, Edward Kelvin, a man purported to have perished during the house's construction, an assertion that grew dubious as the inquiry unfolded. No record of his demise existed, no funeral arrangements documented. Edward Kelvin had vanished from public archives. The journal's final entries veered into incoherence, phrases like "they never looked down" and "they never see me" hauntingly repeated. The last page bore a solitary sentence: "The next family arrives tomorrow." Fingerprint scrutiny confirmed what investigators had suspected: Edward Kelvin had never departed the house he had built. Instead, he had retreated into its concealed recesses, fabricating a maze of observation points to monitor families who believed they dwelt in solitude. The hunt spanned 3 days before locating him coiled within a crawl space between the second-floor chambers, his physique lithe and sinewy from navigating the narrow passages he had constructed within the walls. His eyes blinked against the piercing flashlight beams, unaccustomed to direct illumination. During interrogation, Kelvin spoke of the families as actors in his private drama, observing them with the detached precision of a scientist studying specimens. He had refrained from physical contact, theft, or direct interference in their lives, opting solely to observe, record, and document. "They welcomed me in," he informed the authorities, his tone gentle and rational. "They signed the documents, they became mine." A psychiatric evaluation diagnosed Kelvin with severe delusions, perceiving himself as the house's custodian rather than an intruder. To him, the families were transient guests in what he deemed his eternal abode. The Mercer family never revisited the property. Like their predecessors, they abandoned their possessions, salvaging only essentials in suitcases. The house languished unoccupied as legal proceedings unfolded. The trial divulged the extent of Kelvin's surveillance, hidden chambers accessible solely through crawl spaces, surveillance points integrated into the structure's framework, all meticulously devised before the inaugural brick was laid. The house had been fashioned as a voyeuristic apparatus from its inception, its inhabitants unwitting participants in Kelvin's obsessive documentation. Upon the jury's verdict, Kelvin displayed no emotion. He had already withdrawn into the recesses of his psyche, where he could clandestinely traverse the house's passageways, now existing solely in memory. The property met its demise, razed to the ground, its foundations excavated and filled. Yet for the families who had inhabited it, the violation endured. They remained haunted not by what had been stolen, but by what had eluded them, watching, listening, recording their intimate moments from within the walls they had trusted for security. Occasionally, in hushed moments, they found themselves glancing at air vents, light fixtures, the intersections of walls and ceilings, pondering if they were truly alone now, pondering if they ever had been. Story 4, the aged apartment exuded a sense of history, its walls holding secrets whispered by time. The heating system emitted a low, continuous groan, a familiar sound that blended seamlessly with the rhythmic rattle of the pipes. To the inhabitants, it was merely the building settling, nothing out of the ordinary in this weathered structure. or so they convinced themselves until she heard it. A voice, ethereal and elusive, drifted through the vents like a wisp of mist. It was not the usual background hum of a neighbor's conversation or the distant echoes of city life. No, this voice was different. It was a whisper, soft yet unmistakable, calling out her name in the stillness of the night. Intrigued yet apprehensive, she leaned closer, pressing her ear against the metal grate. A chill brushed past her cheek, a teasing caress from the unseen presence beyond. And then, with a hint of playful mischief, the voice spoke again. "I know you can hear me." Detective Morgan Shaw found herself in the heart of the vacant apartment, a silent witness to the enigmatic events that had unfolded within its walls. Her keen eyes scanned the room, drawn inexorably to the rusted vent cover that had been forcibly removed. Around her, the forensics team meticulously combed through the scene, their cameras capturing every detail in flashes of light. Alina Reeves, the missing woman whose fate had led Shaw to this eerie place, had been absent for 7 long days before the first signs of her disappearance emerged. The building manager, oblivious to the tragedy unfolding under his roof, had finally detected the ominous scent that hung in the air. Officer Patel, his voice measured, recounted the details from his notepad. She spoke of voices echoing through the vents, he informed Shaw, but her concerns were dismissed as mere quirks of the aging infrastructure. Kneeling beside the vent, Shaw studied the telltale signs etched into the metal. Deep gouges, like desperate pleas for escape, marred the surface. The realization dawned on her these marks were not the result of tools, but of frantic fingers clawing from within. Alina Reeves, a beloved kindergarten teacher with a penchant for nurturing life, had left behind a trail of unanswered questions. Her once vibrant classroom now stood silent, her absence palpable in the unwatered plants that still thrived on her windowsill. Her students, unaware of the darkness that had claimed her, had crafted cards in her honor, a poignant gesture of hope in the face of uncertainty. In the shadow of her sister's tearful recollection, Shaw pieced together the fragments of Alina's final days. Paranoia had gripped her tightly, its tendrils weaving a web of fear around her fragile existence. The whispers in the night, the sense of being watched, they had stalked her every move, driving her to the brink of desperation. As Shaw delved deeper into the mystery, new revelations emerged. Fibers from Alina's favorite cardigan entwined in the vent, a silent testimony to her presence. A foreign fingerprint, a ghostly imprint of another's touch, lingered on the inside of the vent cover, a chilling reminder of the intruder within. The digital echoes of Alina's torment reverberated through Shaw's car speakers, the rain outside providing a somber backdrop to the haunting recordings. In the darkness, Alina's voice trembled, her plea for validation met with an eerie response that sent shivers down Shaw's spine. The building, a silent sentinel to a history of dread, harbored more secrets than Shaw could have imagined. Previous tenants, their lives entwined with the walls that contained them, had fled in terror, their stories buried beneath layers of denial and fear. Harold Weber, the unassuming superintendent with a facade of normalcy, held the keys to a kingdom of shadows. His words, carefully chosen yet laden with hidden truths, hinted at a darkness that lurked just beyond the surface. A hidden passage concealed within the confines of Alina's own bathroom unveiled a realm of nightmares. A labyrinth of corridors, a clandestine network that snaked through the building like a malevolent serpent, offered passage to the unseen realm that Weber had made his own. In the stillness of Weber's immaculate abode, Shaw uncovered the chilling extent of his obsession. Files meticulously organized, recordings catalogued with meticulous care, each detail spoke of a man consumed by his twisted desires. A digital diary, a chronicle of his descent into madness, painted a stark portrait of a mind unhinged. The storage unit, a macabre collection of mementos from his victims, bore witness to Weber's depravity. Jewelry glinted in the dim light, photographs frozen in time, clothing preserved like relics of a forgotten past. His shrine, a grotesque homage to the lives he had touched, stood as a testament to the darkness that dwelled within him. As the handcuffs closed around Weber's wrists, sealing his fate, his words lingered in the air like a haunting melody. "They all hear me," he whispered, a smile playing at the corners of his lips. "The building speaks through me, and its voice is eternal." The trial, a somber procession of justice, unveiled the depths of Weber's depravity. His calm facade shattered under the weight of evidence, his delusions laid bare for all to see. The jury's swift verdict, a resounding condemnation of his crimes, echoed through the courtroom like a final reckoning. In the aftermath of Weber's downfall, the apartment building stood as a monument to the horrors that had transpired within its walls. Despite attempts at renewal, at erasing the stains of the past, the whispers endured. Residents, new and old, spoke of strange sounds that echoed through the vents, of whispers that lingered in the night like phantoms of a bygone era. The heating system groaned, the pipes rattled, the symphony of the building's secrets played on, a haunting melody that whispered of the darkness that dwelled within its walls. And as night fell, casting its shroud over the silent corridors, the echoes of the past rose once more, a chilling reminder that some secrets were never meant to be forgotten. Story 5, the mysterious dwelling beckoned to the new owners, Daniel and Meredith Parker, with its grandeur and hidden secrets. Nestled among ancient oak trees, the Victorian manor exuded an aura of both history and modernity. The crackling intercom system, a relic of the past, whispered secrets in the dead of night, luring the curious to uncover its mysteries. One fateful night, the husband's hand trembled as he pressed the button, unleashing a ghostly whisper that sent shivers down his spine. "Why did you come back?" the voice echoed through the old speaker, startling him to his core. His wife, pale with disbelief, denied ever speaking those words. As Detective Sarah Reeves arrived at the manor in response to a cryptic call, she sensed an eerie presence lurking within the walls. Daniel led her through the shadowed corridors, recounting the intercom's strange messages that had plagued them both. Meredith, her haunted gaze fixed on a forgotten journal, revealed a chilling discovery hidden behind a wall, an echo of a past tragedy. The journal, penned by Alina Blackwood, unveiled a tale of betrayal and fear, hinting at a dark secret buried within the house's very foundation. The ghostly whispers of the intercom led the investigators to unearth a grim truth beneath the garden shed, a woman's remains, silenced by violence, telling a tale of love twisted into darkness. Vincent Blackwood, the aged perpetrator of a heinous crime, confessed to the murder of his wife Alina, driven to silence her incessant voice that echoed through the intercom. His meticulous deception crumbled in the face of justice, revealing the depth of his betrayal and the lengths he had gone to bury the truth. The house, now stripped of its haunted past, stood solemnly as a witness to the secrets it harbored. Daniel and Meredith, unable to bear the weight of the history that clung to its walls, bid farewell to the manor, leaving behind whispers of the past that lingered in the air. Detective Reeves, haunted by the echoes of the case, drove past the house, her window cracked open, listening for the faint whispers carried on the wind. The tale of the manor, known in law enforcement circles as the house that answered back, whispered its secrets to those who dared to listen, a reminder of the darkness that lurked within its walls. Story 6. The tale begins in a quaint little costume shop that was on the verge of closing its doors for good, parting with its aged inventory in a melancholic farewell. Among the remnants of costumes past, a lone woman sifted through the forgotten treasures, her eyes drawn to a mask resting on a dusty shelf. Delicate in its craftsmanship, yet eerily lifelike in its features, the mask exuded an unsettling aura that intrigued her. In a whispered breath of curiosity, she lifted it and brought it to the cashier's counter. As the woman placed the mask before the cashier, a shadow of hesitation flickered across his face. "That's not ours," he muttered softly, his voice laden with an unspoken warning. Puzzled, she turned the mask over, searching for a tag that was nowhere to be found. With a nonchalant shrug, she decided to take it home, unaware of the mysterious journey that awaited her. That fateful night, she stirred from her slumber to a faint sound, a gentle rustle of fabric shifting in the darkness. Her heart quickened as she realized the mask was no longer resting peacefully on the dresser where she had left it. Instead, it perched ominously on her nightstand, its empty gaze fixed upon her. The woman, known as Catherine Reed, was later discovered by her concerned neighbor. The morning light spilled through the slightly ajar front door, casting a haunting glow upon the otherwise silent home. What awaited inside would send shivers down the spines of all who crossed its threshold. Catherine lay motionless on the cold bedroom floor, the mask nowhere to be found. Detective Morgan arrived on the scene, her presence a beacon of hope in the midst of darkness. As forensics meticulously documented the room, the shutters clicked in a rhythmic cadence, a haunting backdrop to the whispered conversations that filled the air. "No signs of forced entry," murmured an officer, his pen scratching against the notepad as he made his observations. The detective's gaze swept across the room, absorbing every detail with a keen eye. A partially open drawer, a lipstick-stained water glass, all seemingly ordinary in their mundanity, except for the life that had been extinguished within those walls. The medical examiner, with a solemn expression etched upon his face, hovered over Catherine's body. Cause of death remains unclear upon initial inspection, he intoned gravely, his gloved hand gesturing towards her frozen visage. No visible wounds, no signs of struggle, yet terror is etched into her very being. Beneath the surface of Catherine's seemingly normal life as an art appraiser lay a world of meticulous detail and unwavering passion for authenticity. Her colleagues spoke of her keen eye, her ability to discern truth from deception with a single glance. The detective pondered whether this gift had unwittingly led her down a path of peril. A thread of intrigue unraveled as security footage from the costume shop unveiled a puzzling truth. The cashier's perplexed reaction to the mask hinted at a deeper mystery, a truth obscured by the veil of time. The detective's footsteps led her back to the now empty shop, where the owner's nervous demeanor betrayed a hidden truth waiting to be unearthed. "That mask appeared during our clearance sale," the owner confessed, his hands trembling with suppressed fear. "It was not part of our inventory, a relic of a past unknown to us." Pressed further, he revealed tales of strange occurrences following acquisitions from the estate sale of a collector whose demise was shrouded in enigma. A breakthrough emerged when forensics unearthed microscopic fibers entwined in Catherine's clenched fingertips, a silent testament to her final struggle. These fibers are of an unusual composition, the lab technician explained, his brow furrowed in contemplation. A blend of human hair and an organic substance beyond recognition, a mystery woven into her very skin. The tendrils of investigation stretched back through time, revealing a tapestry of eerily similar deaths linked by a common thread: the acquisition of a mysterious mask, each victim bearing the mark of unbridled terror in their final moments. The retired detective, a spectral figure from a bygone era, shared secrets buried deep within yellowed files, his hands trembling with the weight of untold truths. We found inscriptions inside each mask, ancient symbols hinting at a ritual of soul transference, he divulged, his voice a mere whisper in the dimly lit room. A journal discovered in Catherine's apartment unraveled a web of fear and intrigue, her frantic scribblings a testament to the malevolent force that had infiltrated her life. The detective pieced together the fragments of a puzzle too macabre for the light of day. Catherine's research, the enigmatic fibers, the chilling pattern of deaths all pointed towards a conclusion steeped in ancient malevolence. The medical examiner's final pronouncement, death by extreme fear-induced cardiac arrest, served as a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurked in the shadows. A twist in the tale materialized as surveillance footage from a vigilant neighbor captured a figure cloaked in darkness, wearing a mask that bore a sinister resemblance to Catherine's own. The phantom figure moved with her gait, a haunting mimicry that sent shivers down the spines of all who beheld the spectral dance. The alert for the missing mask reverberated through the corridors of law enforcement, but its elusive presence remained tantalizingly out of reach. Months passed, whispers of a peculiar mask surfacing in a distant vintage shop echoing through the void. By the time investigators arrived, the mask had vanished into the hands of an unknown buyer, leaving behind only unanswered questions and a trail of uncertainty. The case, shrouded in shadows and unanswered riddles, remained an enigma etched in the annals of unsolved mysteries. The detective, haunted by the specter of Catherine's fate, safeguarded her journal as a grim reminder of the darkness that lurked beyond the veil of reality. As night descended, she found herself jolting awake, a chill coursing through her veins, a silent reminder of the mask that awaited its next unwitting victim. The mask, a vessel of ancient malevolence, lay dormant, biding its time until it found a new host to ensnare in its malevolent grip. Its empty gaze fixated on a world ripe for the taking, a cycle of terror and tragedy destined to repeat until the end of days. And so the mask lingered in the shadows, a silent sentinel waiting to be awakened once more, its hunger insatiable, its thirst for souls unquenchable. Story 7, the Polaroid lay nestled among memories of days long gone, its faded image capturing a birthday celebration lost in the depths of time. Faces frozen in joy, candles flickering softly, nothing out of the ordinary at first glance. Yet when the daughter inherited the box of old photographs, a chill crept up her spine. There, in the background of each picture, lurked a presence. A man, shrouded in shadows, lingered just beyond the circle of light cast by the birthday candles. He was not a familiar face, not a part of the family's recollections, and yet with each passing photo he drew nearer. Sarah Winters stumbled upon the unsettling collection while clearing out her mother's attic after the somber veil of a funeral had settled over the household. A simple cardboard box labeled Memories held a trove of snapshots from bygone days, a visual tapestry of family gatherings from her childhood. What should have been a comforting rediscovery of happier times soon unraveled into a waking nightmare. In the initial photograph, the shadowy figure was barely discernible, a mere outline lingering at the periphery of her 7th birthday party near the sliding glass door, features obscured by darkness. In the subsequent picture, taken moments later, he had crept inside the frame. By the 3rd snapshot, he loomed behind her uncle, a silent sentinel unnoticed by the party-goers. Trembling with unease, Sarah reached out to her father, her voice quivering as she recounted her unsettling finding. "Dad, who is this mysterious man in the background of all these photos?" A pregnant pause followed her inquiry, then a sharp intake of breath. "What man? There shouldn't be anyone there besides family." Her father's voice crackled through the phone. With a sense of foreboding, Sarah captured digital images of the Polaroids and dispatched them to her father. His subsequent call bore an unusual tremor. "That's impossible. We would have noticed a stranger." At the precinct, Detective Marcus Reed methodically examined the haunting progression of photos spread across his desk, raindrops tapping against the windows like a melancholic melody. His weathered hands traced the enigmatic figure's advancement through the snapshots, his gaze sharpening with each revelation. "No one recognized this individual?" he inquired, his tone a blend of neutrality and intrigue. "No one," Sarah affirmed, arranging the photos in chronological order. As the detective leaned in, the metal chair creaking beneath him, what initially seemed like paranoia metamorphosed into a chilling reality. The shadowy figure moved methodically through the captured moments, inching closer to the unsuspecting children. In the final image, he loomed directly behind Sarah's youthful self, a spectral hand outstretched toward her shoulder, just beyond the frame's edge. "Perhaps the photographer," Reed offered, a hint of doubt tainting his words. "My mother took all these. She set the timer and hurried into the shot," Sarah clarified. With copies made and a case file opened, the detective delved into the investigation. Interviews with surviving attendees yielded no recognition of the mysterious man. No hired help, no uninvited guests, only a secluded countryside setting chosen for its privacy. Facial recognition software proved futile, the figure artfully evading identification, a ghostly presence aware of the camera's lens. Yet a practiced intentionality underscored his every move. The inquiry might have stalled if not for Sarah's discovery of similar figures in other family albums from different gatherings and years. A computer specialist meticulously enhanced the images, unveiling obscure details under the harsh glare of digital light. A scar etched across a wrist, a peculiar ring adorning a finger, a partial reflection hinting at hidden facial features. A breakthrough emerged from dental records, linking the figure to Robert Keller, a maintenance worker who had vanished after being linked to 3 unsolved child abductions spanning the region, cases long gone cold. Keller had been employed by the company tasked with cleaning the vacation property where Sarah's birthday had unfolded. Armed with master keys to various rental properties, he had access to gatherings where children had mysteriously disappeared. Excavations beneath Keller's former residence unearthed chilling artifacts, a hair clip matching a missing girl's description, a toy car belonging to a vanished boy, a bracelet Sarah had once owned, presumed lost in her childhood. Alone in her apartment, surrounded by the damning evidence, Sarah absorbed the detective's call confirming the identification of remains near one of the rental properties. DNA verification sealed the grim reality and end to the agonizing uncertainty for some families, though not in the way they had prayed for. Staring at the final birthday photo, the warm glow of the candles casting a spectral light on her family's frozen expressions. Sarah beheld the figure once more. Patient, calculating, a phantom observer hidden in the shadows, unnoticed by all in that moment of jubilation. The revelation wove a thread connecting decades-old mysteries, offering closure to families haunted by unanswered questions. The shadow in the family photos had stepped into the illumination of justice, his presence acknowledged at last after years of clandestine voyaging through time's frozen tapestry. Gathering the photos, Sarah placed them reverently back into the box. They were no longer mere mementos, but poignant reminders that danger sometimes lurks unseen within the captured moments of life, moving stealthily through celebrations, leaving naught but a faint echo of its passage in the stillness of time. Story 8. The gentle current flowed lazily that quiet morning, the surface of the water reflecting the soft colors of the dawn sky. The fisherman, lost in his thoughts, almost missed the sight of a lone suitcase bobbing near the tranquil shore. At first glance, it seemed like nothing more than discarded items, perhaps old clothes carelessly tossed aside. But as he ventured closer, a pungent odor reached his nostrils, thick, heavy, impossible to ignore. The suitcase was wrapped tightly in chains, its corners tinged with rust, a testament to its time spent adrift. When the authorities pried it open, what they discovered inside was far more chilling than a mere collection of clothes. Instead, they found a macabre scene, a tangle of hair, fingers frozen in a haunting grip, and at the very bottom, a cryptic note that sent shivers down their spines. This isn't the first. Detective Sarah Mercer arrived at the scene, the air heavy with the weight of the unknown. The victim, a woman in her mid-30s named Catherine Walsh, lay before her, her once vibrant features now muted by the touch of the water. The medical examiner worked meticulously, cataloging every detail with precision before the body was carefully removed from its watery grave. But what struck Mercer most was not the gruesome method of disposal, but the eerie sense of care that had been taken with the victim's appearance: manicured nails, freshly styled hair, clad in expensive garments. She was not just discarded, Mercer murmured, her gaze fixed on the lapping waters at the shore. She was presented, deliberately so. Catherine Walsh, a successful real estate agent known for her prowess in selling luxury properties, lived a life that seemed to exude perfection. Divorced, childless, residing in an affluent neighborhood, she was a woman of ambition and discretion. Her sudden disappearance, reported by her concerned assistant when she failed to attend a crucial showing for wealthy clients, sent ripples of unease through her tight-knit circle. She would never miss this, her assistant insisted, her voice tinged with worry. That sale was meant to be her crowning achievement. As the investigation unfolded, Mercer and her team delved into Walsh's meticulously curated life. Her home, a showcase of modern elegance, held secrets within its pristine walls. Every detail seemed immaculate, almost unnaturally so. From the carefully arranged furniture to the spotless surfaces, not a hint of disorder could be found. Yet in her home office, a single drawer stood slightly ajar, revealing a hidden treasure, a leather-bound journal. The final entry sent a chill down Mercer's spine. He's watching again. Same car, different plates. Further exploration into Walsh's digital footprint unveiled a disturbing pattern, a series of mysterious emails from unknown sources, all bearing the same unsettling message: "I see your perfection." Sent at precise intervals, these messages hinted at a silent observer, a phantom lurking in the shadows of Walsh's meticulously crafted existence. Her online searches for security systems and self-defense tools painted a picture of mounting fear. a sense of impending danger that had gone unnoticed until it was too late. Mercer pieced together the puzzle, drawing connections between the eerie findings at the crime scene and the chilling revelations from Walsh's life. "Our perpetrator is methodical," she confided to her partner, her voice hushed with solemnity. "This was not a crime of passion. It was a meticulously planned ritual of control." A breakthrough emerged from an unexpected source, a local pawnshop owner who recognized Walsh's distinctive emerald necklace, now missing from her possessions. The man who had pawned it, Michael Linden, a nondescript maintenance worker, became the focus of intense scrutiny. Surveillance footage revealed his frequent visits to Walsh's building, sometimes with his maintenance cart in tow, other times slipping in unnoticed. His unassuming demeanor belied the darkness that lurked within. A search of Linden's modest abode uncovered a chilling tableau, a collection of photographs featuring Walsh and other women, all sharing a striking resemblance, all captured in moments of vulnerability. Some images were defaced with crimson slashes, marking them as targets. Walsh, it seemed, was not the first victim on Linden's twisted path. Concealed behind a false wall in his closet lay a shrine of horrors, each item meticulously catalogued hair strands, used tissues stained with lipstick, mundane belongings turned into sinister relics of a disturbed mind. The interrogation room echoed with a palpable chill as Linden, his demeanor eerily composed, faced the weight of his crimes. "They were flawed," he uttered, his voice devoid of emotion. "They projected perfection, but I saw through their facade. Catherine, with her disorganized desk drawer, her imperfect lipstick application. Her perfection was a deception." The search for the previous victims mentioned in Linden's cryptic note led investigators to remote locations, where additional suitcases surfaced, each one bearing the tragic remnants of lives cut short. Real estate agents like Walsh, women who prided themselves on their meticulous attention to detail, had fallen prey to Linden's twisted obsession with perfection. As the trial unfolded, Linden sat stoically, his gaze fixed on some unseen horizon as the prosecution laid bare his sinister methods. Months of stalking, studying, and ultimately correcting what he saw as imperfections in his victims painted a portrait of a predator hiding in plain sight. The families of the fallen watched in silent anguish as the gavel fell, sealing Linden's fate with a sentence of lifelong incarceration, devoid of any chance for redemption. For Detective Mercer, the case was officially closed, the perpetrator brought to justice. Yet, as she sifted through the remnants of Linden's twisted world, a lingering question haunted her thoughts: what inner demons had driven him to seek out and destroy these women who embodied the very ideals he could not attain himself. The river continued its unhurried journey downstream, carrying with it the echoes of a tragedy now faded from view. But in the quiet confines of the precinct, amidst the hum of daily life, lay the chilling reminders of a darkness that dwelled just beneath the surface of seemingly ordinary lives. For sometimes the most perilous adversaries are not the ones lurking in the shadows, but those who move among us unseen, waiting for the mask of perfection to slip, revealing the horrors that lie beneath. Story 9: The Mystery of Reflections. She cleared the mist from the mirror, peering at her own image, yet a subtle unease crept over her. Her reflection appeared normal, her attire unchanged, but the longer she gazed, the more a sense of disquiet enveloped her. A fleeting movement caught in the corner of her eye, a presence not her own. As she turned away, her reflection remained fixed, observing her every move. The enigma of Rebecca Thorne began with that eerie incident in her bathroom. What transpired next would baffle investigators and cast a shadow over the community for years to come. Rebecca resided solo in a humble apartment nestled within a tranquil suburban enclave. Known as meticulous and introverted, she engaged minimally with others but maintained a polite rapport with her neighbors. Her occupation as a data analyst for a medium-sized firm dictated a life governed by routine and exactitude. There was nothing in her demeanor to suggest she would emerge as the focal point of one of the most perplexing criminal inquiries of the era. Initially, the anomalies seemed trivial. Rebecca noticed slight displacements of objects in her abode, nothing missing, merely rearranged. A mug shifted to another shelf, books repositioned, her toothbrush on the opposite side of the sink. These peculiar occurrences were brushed off as lapses in memory, likely byproducts of prolonged hours scrutinizing spreadsheets under harsh fluorescent lights until her vision blurred. Detective Marion Shaw received the initial complaint when Rebecca, after enduring weeks of such disturbances, finally reached out to the authorities. The preliminary evaluation, no evident criminal activity, perhaps a matter best suited for mental health services rather than law enforcement. Shaw duly noted the grievance but consigned it to the pile of non-urgent cases. There was no tangible evidence, Shaw later recounted. No signs of forced entry, no missing belongings, just a woman sensing something awry within her home. The pivotal moment arrived with the incident in the bathroom mirror. During her subsequent interaction with the police, Rebecca recounted the episode vividly, how her reflection appeared to move independently, how she felt an unseen gaze even in solitude. This time she presented proof, footage from a surveillance camera she had installed, aimed at her front entrance. The video unveiled a revelation that sent a shiver down the spines of even the most seasoned officers. The grainy recording depicted Rebecca departing for work in the morning. Yet, 20 minutes later, an identical figure to Rebecca used a key to enter her apartment. Forensic experts scrutinized the footage for signs of tampering or digital manipulation. None were found. The individual gaining access mimicked Rebecca's movements, attire, and even carried her distinctive leather bag. However, according to time-stamped footage from her workplace's security system, Rebecca had already swiped into her office building across town. "We're facing a doppelganger scenario," Detective Shaw informed her superiors. "Someone who has meticulously studied Ms. Thorne and can replicate her with eerie precision." The investigation escalated. Fingerprints within the apartment exclusively matched Rebecca's. No foreign DNA was detected. Neighbors reported witnessing nothing out of the ordinary, solely Rebecca coming and going as usual. One neighbor, Mrs. Keller, recounted greeting Rebecca upon her return one evening, receiving no response, a deviation she found peculiar but not alarming. Rebecca commenced documenting the disturbances in a journal. Minor alterations within her dwelling multiplied. Vanishing food from her fridge she couldn't recall consuming. Her computer displayed searches she had not initiated. Most disconcerting were the photographs on her phone, self-portraits resembling her, yet memories of capturing them eluded her. In some images, her countenance appeared subtly askew, the grin too broad or the gaze too penetrating. "I feel as though I'm descending into madness," she confided to Detective Shaw during their third meeting. "Or perhaps someone is orchestrating this illusion." A breakthrough emerged when investigators discerned a pattern in the surveillance footage. The doppelganger exclusively infiltrated when Rebecca departed for specific commitments: therapy sessions, yoga classes, Sunday morning grocery runs, predetermined activities with predictable durations. An individual intimately acquainted with your routine, Shaw expounded. This isn't haphazard, it's targeted observation and infiltration. A forensic psychologist posited they were confronted with a fixation case, a person fixated on assuming Rebecca's identity, inhabiting her existence, possibly intending to supplant her entirely. Such instances were uncommon but documented in psychological archives. The perpetrator often suffered a psychological rupture, fixating on a victim embodying traits they coveted: stability, beauty, success, normalcy. The inquiry narrowed when Rebecca mentioned a former coworker, Lily Winters, dismissed for escalating erratic conduct. Lily had collaborated closely with Rebecca, frequently remarking on their similarities. Post-dismissal, she dispatched a series of unsettling emails to Rebecca. "We could be mirror images," one message read. "At times, I feel I embody you more than you do." Detective Shaw secured a warrant to search Lily's residence. What they uncovered transformed the case from unsettling to harrowing. A room in Lily's abode had been transformed into a shrine-like replica of Rebecca's bedroom. The walls adorned with photographs, countless snapshots of Rebecca entering her dwelling, shopping, socializing, all taken unbeknownst to her. A closet housed precise replicas of Rebecca's attire. Makeup mirroring Rebecca's preferred brands arranged on a vanity alongside meticulous notes on her mannerisms, speech patterns, and daily routines. Most incriminating were the practice videos. Lily had recorded herself mimicking Rebecca's gait, gestures, expressions. The progression was evident: early attempts crude and conspicuous, later iterations nearly indistinguishable from the authentic Rebecca. "She aspired to become me," Rebecca murmured upon viewing the evidence. "She wasn't merely imitating me, she was obliterating me." Forensic specialists unearthed sophisticated apparatus for forging key duplicates and replicating electronic access cards. Lily upheld an intricate system to monitor Rebecca's movements, including a calendar with detailed prognostications of her agenda. What eluded investigators was Lily's ultimate objective. Journals discovered in her residence featured rambling entries vacillating between first and third person, at times alluding to Rebecca as both me and her within the same passage. The final entry sent a chill down the investigators' spines. "Soon, only one of us shall endure. The stronger entity shall prevail." When the authorities moved to apprehend Lily, she had vanished. Her residence bore signs of a hasty departure, drawers ajar, certain technology absent. A nationwide alert was issued. Rebecca was ushered into protective custody, relocated to a secure undisclosed site under constant surveillance. For 3 weeks, every locale linked to her former life underwent scrutiny. Lily remained elusive. The case took a sinister turn when a security guard at Rebecca's previous workplace reported an anomaly. Rebecca had been sighted entering the building despite being on leave. Surveillance footage confirmed it. An individual resembling Rebecca accessed the premises using a valid ID card, proceeded to her former workstation, and spent 40 minutes perusing her documents before departing. Rebecca, sheltered in a safe-guarded refuge, could not have been present at the office. The implications crystallized. Lily had not fled, she had made her move. She now inhabited Rebecca's persona, assimilating into her life while the genuine Rebecca remained concealed. The case remains officially unresolved. Lily Winters remains at large. Rebecca Thorne opted not to reclaim her former existence, constructing a new identity in an undisclosed location. Detective Shaw maintains a photograph on her desk, 2 women strikingly alike. One embodies Rebecca Thorne, the other embodies Lily Winters. Occasionally, she scrutinizes their countenances, seeking disparities, the nuances that would differentiate one from the other. The genuine terror Shaw imparts to new recruits is not in someone mirroring your visage or voice. It's in their fervent desire to become you, to the extent that they eradicate themselves in the process. Identity is not solely what we present to the world, it is what we safeguard most zealously. And at times, we only grasp its worth when someone endeavors to seize it. Story 10. The parcel arrived unannounced, devoid of clues like a return label or tracking number. Just a humble cardboard box kissed by the morning dew. It wasn't intended for Sarah Miller, even though her address was spot on. The name inscribed on it was foreign to her. Logic whispered to leave it untouched, to let it linger on the porch. But curiosity, that mischievous temptress, won the battle. Slowly, she peeled away the tape, half expecting mundane contents like books or clothes. Instead, nestled inside was a VHS tape, accompanied by a lone sticky note that simply read, "Watch alone." Sarah held the black plastic cassette in her hands, its weight feeling strangely burdensome, as if carrying the weight of forbidden secrets. Her fingertips grazed the worn corners, tracing the imperfections etched into the plastic casing. The note, with its urgent strokes, hinted at a story waiting to unfold. Surrounding her, the suburban neighborhood hummed with its usual melody, a distant dog's bark, children's laughter dancing in the air, and the rhythmic drone of a lawnmower. She brought the mysterious package indoors, placing it on her kitchen counter, uncertainty creeping into her thoughts. The name Daniel Whitaker meant nothing in her world. Having resided in her home for nearly 4 years, she had never encountered mail addressed to that name. The previous occupants, the Johnsons, had bid farewell, leaving behind memories of their golden years. Curiosity clashed with unease as she glanced at her VCR, a relic of the past she kept for nostalgia's sake. There was a magnetic pull to the tape, a puzzle shrouded in faded plastic. Against her better judgment, Sarah inserted the tape into the machine. At first, static danced across the screen, gradually sharpening into focus. A dimly lit room emerged, illuminated by a solitary lamp casting shadows. The camera angle was askew, lending an air of urgency. A man sat in a wooden chair, his features initially obscured by darkness. "My name is Daniel Whitaker," his voice, quiet yet resolute, filled the room. "If you're watching this, someone has found you. And that means they'll find me too." As he leaned closer, his tired face came into view, eyes haunted by sleepless nights, stubble clinging to his jaw, hair tousled in disarray. "I didn't harm her, you must know that, but they've planted evidence against me, my fingerprints, my DNA all fabricated." The camera wavered as Daniel adjusted it, offering glimpses of the sparse room, a bare canvas, devoid of comfort, belonging to a soul primed for departure. "They've framed me." The official narrative will paint me as her acquaintance, our interactions marred by disputes and violence witnessed by many. But it's all a lie. I never met Catherine Walsh until her image flashed across the news. His voice quavered, gone, murdered in her own home, and somehow my genetic imprint tainted the crime scene. Detective Eliza Ramirez studied the identical VHS tape resting on her desk, the fifth to emerge. 5 tapes, 5 recipients, all bearing Daniel Whitaker's desperate plea. A man designated the prime suspect in Catherine Walsh's murder. A man who had vanished into thin air upon the discovery of her lifeless body. Initially, the Walsh case seemed straightforward. A young professional strangled in her sanctuary. No signs of forced entry, no clues left behind. DNA evidence unequivocally pointing to Whitaker, his fingerprints cataloged from a minor transgression in the past. Witnesses attested to his presence near her abode in the weeks leading to the tragedy. Cell phone records pinpointed him in the vicinity that fateful night, a closed chapter, until the tapes surfaced. "The tapes complicate matters," Detective Ramirez murmured into her recorder. updating the case dossier. Whitaker is either orchestrating an elaborate ruse or unveiling a darker truth. Her evidence board painted a grim tableau, Catherine's radiant smile frozen in photos, crime scene snapshots too grim to linger on, maps plotting the tape deliveries, and at the center, Daniel Whitaker's haunting visage staring back at her, imploring for justice. The investigation veered off course when Ramirez unearthed Catherine Walsh's involvement in a whistleblower case against PharmaCorp, a pharmaceutical juggernaut entangled in governmental contracts. Walsh had stumbled upon irregularities in their drug trials, evidence of concealed side effects in a hastily approved medication. She was prepared to testify, a former colleague whispered, eyes darting nervously. Catherine possessed damning documents, proof of executive knowledge and cover-ups. The trial loomed. Oddities began to surface. The DNA evidence seemed too meticulously placed, lurking in locations incongruent with the crime. Witness statements echoed with rehearsed precision, their narratives eerily synchronized, and the security footage from neighboring buildings mysteriously vanished during the crucial time frame surrounding the murder. 3 days later, Sarah Miller received a second parcel. This one divulged a trove of incriminating documents, clinical reports, internal correspondences, emails bearing Catherine Walsh's digital seal, all from PharmaCorp, validating her suspicions. Detective Ramirez forged connections with the other recipients, untangling Whitaker's breadcrumb trail. A former IT security employee at a PharmaCorp contractor, Daniel had never crossed paths with Catherine, but had stumbled upon her name flagged in an anomalous security protocol beyond his purview. They were monitoring her, Whitaker elucidated in a subsequent tape. I witnessed the surveillance directives in the system. They knew she was amassing proof, and then I found myself locked out of the network. The next day, she lay lifeless, and I was branded the perpetrator. The puzzle pieces clicked into place when Sarah noticed a crucial detail on her copy of the tape, an obscured reflection hinting at a row of storage units. Teaming up with Detective Ramirez, they traced the location. Inside Unit 217, the truth awaited. Daniel Whitaker's journal chronicled the conspiracy. Catherine's original files surfaced. And damning evidence of Whitaker's setup, inscribed in the head of PharmaCorp security officers, handwriting a former detective with access to evidence protocols. Justice didn't arrive with a dramatic arrest, but through the steady accumulation of irrefutable truths. 3 executives faced indictment. The security chief confessed, striking a deal to testify against his accomplices. The tainted drug was yanked from the brink of approval. Emerging from seclusion, Daniel Whitaker, a specter of his former self, saw the charges against him evaporate, yet the scars of his ordeal etched deep. Sarah Miller and Whitaker crossed paths when he came to reclaim his tape. Standing on her porch where the saga had begun, they shared a fleeting moment. "Why me?" she probed. "Why send it to my address?" His gaze, world-weary, met hers. "The algorithm chose you. I required individuals untethered to me or Catherine individuals off the radar, still clinging to their instincts amid the damning headlines." The ex-suspect and inadvertent witness stood in silence, grappling with the fragile boundary between truth and manufactured deception. Sarah broke the quietude. The wrong address proved to be the precise one. The VHS tapes, now relics of a veiled saga, bore witness to the notion that truth often arrives in enigmatic packages, bearing unfamiliar names, awaiting an intrepid soul to unravel its secrets. Story 11. The motel was a bargain, its faded charm a relic of a bygone era where transient guests sought respite for a fleeting night. The receptionist handed her the key with a cryptic glance, caution lingering in his voice as he uttered, "Avoid the final door on the left, if you please." Intrigued by his warning, she felt a curious tug at her curiosity. That evening, enveloped by the hushed ambience of the hallway's dim glow, she found herself drawn to that forbidden door. The icy touch of the handle sent a shiver down her spine, and as she leaned closer, the door appeared unassuming until a faint breath, barely audible, whispered from the other side. Detective Morgan Reed awoke with a start, her senses alert as she slipped beneath the yellow tape demarcating the scene of the crime. The metallic tang of blood tainted the air, a scent that spoke volumes in its grim familiarity. Stains of crimson had seeped into the worn carpet, casting a somber hue upon the room. Within this chamber of contrasts, where cleanliness clashed with chaos, a young woman lay sprawled on the floor, her golden locks splayed like a halo around her lifeless form. Her vacant eyes stared upwards, frozen in a silent scream or a silent gasp. Reed knelt beside the victim, mindful of the evidence markers scattered around her. The forensic technician, his demeanor detached, remarked, "The third victim this season, bearing the same signature as the rest." Silently, Reed acknowledged the pattern unfolding before her. The victim's attire hinted at a life far removed from this dismal motel. A luxurious handbag lay open, its contents undisturbed. This was no random act of theft. A deeper motive lurked in the shadows. The motel manager loomed anxiously in the doorway, his pallor betraying his unease. "She arrived alone, paid in cash. I never imagined." His voice faltered. The maid stumbled upon her during routine cleaning. Reed surveyed the room with a discerning eye, noting the absence of forced entry or defensive wounds. The woman had either welcomed her assailant willingly or recognized them from before. Back at the precinct, Reed pieced together the puzzle on the investigation board. 3 women, eerily similar in appearance, discovered in nondescript motels. Speculation swirled, whispers of a predator haunting the shadows. "The autopsy report is in," Detective Hayes announced, dropping a folder on Reed's desk. "Death by manual strangulation. No DNA under the victim's nails, no signs of sexual assault." Reed's brow furrowed. This was a crime driven by personal vendetta, not mere predation. Days blurred into nights as the inquiry deepened. Surveillance footage yielded no breakthroughs, and the victim, identified as Elaine Werner, defied easy categorization. A financial analyst with no evident enemies, she seemed an unlikely guest at such a venue. A breakthrough surfaced during Reed's conversation with Werner's sister. She mentioned a man from her workplace, the sister divulged, hands trembling. Someone complicated, possibly married. Reed leaned in, pressing for details. "Did she disclose a name?" "Just C," the sister replied, her voice tinged with apprehension. The focus shifted to Werner's corporate environment, where colleagues painted a portrait of a meticulous private professional. Yet a business card concealed within Werner's desk calendar led Reed to Charles Emerson, the enigmatic senior vice president. Emerson appeared composed during questioning, his alibi airtight dinner with his wife and acquaintances. However, a flicker of unease danced in his eyes at Reed's probing. "Did you have a personal relationship with Elaine Werner?" she inquired casually. A fleeting expression crossed Emerson's face, swiftly masked, strictly professional. A breakthrough arrived when partial fingerprints from Werner's handbag matched Emerson's. His confession unraveled the facade he had meticulously crafted. "We were involved," he confessed, "but it was over. She threatened to expose me." Reed's gaze bore into him. "To the extent of taking her life," Emerson's facade wavered. "I never set foot in that motel." Yet the records painted a damning picture, a corporate card linked to Emerson, a neighboring room booked under his name, surveillance equipment concealed in the walls. Fibers from his attire, his DNA, and incriminating digital evidence all converged to seal his fate. Emerson's twisted compulsion emerged, selecting women resembling his wife in her youth, recording their encounters, then erasing the evidence, the women themselves. In the interrogation room, Emerson's veneer crumbled. "They threatened everything," he muttered. "My reputation, my marriage, my existence." The trial unfolded swiftly, a spectacle of justice witnessed by 3 grieving families. Emerson's stoic facade remained unbroken, devoid of remorse, as the judge pronounced a sentence of life imprisonment. As he was led away, Reed locked eyes with him, glimpsing not humanity but a chilling void where empathy should have resided. The media dubbed it the door on the left case, a narrative dissected by psychologists and true crime enthusiasts alike. Yet for Reed, the case lingered as an unresolved enigma. In quiet moments pacing hotel corridors, she found herself counting doors, pondering the secrets concealed behind each one. In the precinct's evidence vault, 3 identical keys lay dormant, silent witnesses to a saga where once opened doors led to irreversible consequences. Story 12: Hidden Secrets of the Doll Maker. In the depths of the attic, concealed beneath a worn, tattered blanket, a forgotten relic awaited its awakening. A porcelain doll, ancient and fragile, with eyes of painted blue that seemed to hold secrets of a bygone era. Sarah and Michael stumbled upon it, puzzled by its presence in their new abode. They dismissed it as just another relic of the past, a mere antique lost in time. Yet as night descended and they sought refuge in slumber, a subtle shift in the air whispered of unseen forces at play. The silence grew heavy, pregnant with an unspoken tension that lingered until dawn broke, and with the first light of day, the doll had vanished from the attic, only to reappear at the foot of their bed, a silent sentinel watching over them. Sarah and Michael, a young couple drawn to the allure of a Victorian house with a shadowed past, found themselves entangled in a web of mystery they could never have foreseen. Detective Rachel Winters, with her keen eye and sharp mind, was called to the scene, a chilling tableau of tragedy unfolding in the master bedroom. The female victim, her body contorted in an unnatural pose, eyes wide with terror, told a tale of horror beyond comprehension. Beside her, the male victim lay as if frozen in a desperate attempt to flee an unseen menace. The crime scene, pristine and untouched, offered no solace, only more questions in its wake. As Detective Winters delved into the investigation, a tapestry of eerie accounts emerged from the neighbors' shadows flitting in the upper windows, ghostly laughter echoing through the night, all adding layers to the enigma shrouding the house. Forensic analysis revealed traces of vintage fabrics, remnants of a past long forgotten, woven into the very fibers of the home. The absence of any tangible evidence, no fingerprints, no DNA, hinted at a presence that defied the laws of the physical world. The history of the property unfurled like a dark tapestry, revealing a pattern of tragedy that spanned generations. 3 previous owners, each meeting a mysterious end, their stories intertwined with whispers of haunted toys and spectral footsteps haunting the halls. A thread of connection emerged as Detective Winters unearthed the legacy of a doll maker who once dwelled within the walls of the house. His final creation, a doll crafted in the likeness of his departed daughter, bore an uncanny resemblance to the one found by Sarah and Michael. Photographs hidden in the attic revealed the doll in different poses, a macabre dance frozen in time, hinting at a malevolent force lurking within the shadows. Infrared scans unveiled hidden handprints, a trail of porcelain dust leading from the attic to the master bedroom, a spectral imprint of a presence unseen. A revelation from a distant relative of the dollmaker shed light on dark rituals and arcane practices, whispers of souls bound to inanimate forms, a chilling legacy that defied rational explanation. As the investigation reached an impasse, the doll remained a silent witness to the unfolding mystery, its gaze unfathomable, its secrets untold. Detective Winters, haunted by the specter of the past, retired from the force, leaving behind a legacy of unsolved enigmas. The house passed into new hands, its tainted history a whispered rumor among the curious few. The attic, now a silent mausoleum of secrets, held only a folded blanket where the doll once lay, its whereabouts unknown, its presence a lingering mystery. And on quiet nights, when the world slumbered and the shadows danced, whispers of a child's laughter would drift through the air, a ghostly echo of a past that refused to be forgotten. Story 13. She entered through the front door, dust dancing in the musty air. The old house stood abandoned, its walls shedding their layers, furniture draped in ghostly sheets. Each step she took felt like a frozen moment in time, a haunting stillness enveloping her except for one peculiar detail. The doors, every door she opened led her back to the same room, a loop of endless return. No matter the path she chose, she always found herself back in the parlor. The only way out seemed to be the way she had come. But when she turned to retrace her steps, the front door had vanished into thin air. The discovery of Morgan Pierce's lifeless body had transformed the once curious Victorian house into a scene of mystery and tragedy. Detective Sarah Lind stood at the threshold, observing as forensic experts moved silently through the dim interior like specters. Among the locals, the house had gained a reputation an enigmatic place where compasses spun wildly and whispers of being watched lingered in the air. Now it held secrets far more sinister than mere urban legends. The initial examination suggests she passed approximately 3 days ago, the medical examiner murmured, his words barely audible. Death by asphyxiation seems to be the cause. Morgan had been found seated in an antique chair in the parlor, her posture serene as if awaiting a visitor. Hands folded neatly in her lap, her expression peaceful. No signs of struggle, no marks of defense. The scene exuded a chilling calmness that unsettled even the seasoned investigators. Who discovered the body? Lind inquired, scanning her notes. A real estate agent showing the property to potential buyers, her partner replied. They stumbled upon her sitting there, initially mistaking her for a trespasser until they drew closer. The house had remained uninhabited since the passing of its previous owner, Eleanor Blackwood, nearly 5 years prior. Legal disputes had left the property abandoned, unwanted, unsold, and largely forgotten except by those seeking thrills and mischief. Morgan Pierce, a 26-year-old graduate student delving into architectural peculiarities for her thesis, had a fascination with spaces that defied conventional norms. Described by friends as methodical, driven, and captivated by the inexplicable, the abandoned Victorian must have beckoned to her curious spirit. Her roommate reported her missing 2 days ago, Lind noted. Morgan mentioned visiting the house where people get lost for her research. Further investigation unveiled Morgan's repeated visits to the house in the weeks leading up to her demise. Entries in her journal detailed strange acoustics, sudden cold patches, and doors that seemed to lead to new realms with each opening. In her final notes, she spoke of bringing specialized equipment to capture what she referred to as spatial anomalies. Yet, this equipment was nowhere to be found. During the autopsy, a surprising revelation emerged: traces of a rare alkaloid derived from a plant used in shamanic rituals were detected in Morgan's system. While the substance was known to induce disorientation and vivid illusions, the levels found were insufficient to be fatal. She was not one to dabble in recreational substances, her boyfriend asserted adamantly. Morgan was meticulous in her research. She wouldn't have jeopardized her senses deliberately. A delve into Morgan's digital footprint exposed remnants of deleted messages on her phone. Conversations with an individual who shared her intrigue with the house, someone claiming to comprehend its enigmas. The exchanges grew increasingly intimate and enigmatic. "The house retains its memories," read one message. "It yearns for someone to understand." The investigation led Lind and her team to Adam Reeves, an architectural historian who had been in contact with Morgan. His expertise in rare spatial phenomena had captivated her, evolving their professional rapport into a more personal connection. When questioned, Reeves appeared genuinely shattered by her untimely passing. "The house carries a legacy," he elucidated. The original architect wove optical illusions and false perspectives into its structure, intending to bewilder and disorient. Morgan believed there was a deeper layer to it all, a truth transcending mere design tricks. However, Reeves had a solid alibi for the estimated time of Morgan's demise. Surveillance footage depicted him giving a lecture at a university symposium hours away from the house. A breakthrough came from an unexpected source, Alina Blackwood's grandson, now residing overseas. Contacted by the investigators, he unveiled a hidden family secret buried for generations. "My grandmother wasn't the sole Blackwood to meet her end within those walls," he disclosed. Others followed suit, always discovered in the parlor, always in a peaceful repose. The family dubbed it the claiming. Providing journals spanning decades, he evidenced deaths initially attributed to natural causes like heart failure or strokes. The pattern was unmistakable. Individuals spending significant time in the house eventually succumbed to what the family cryptically termed the influence. A secondary sweep of the premises unearthed a concealed compartment behind the parlor hearth. Inside, Morgan's missing equipment was recovered alongside an intriguing discovery: a small chamber harboring artifacts from diverse indigenous cultures, arranged meticulously in a geometric formation. At the center rested a weathered figurine, its features smoothed by the touch of generations. Analysis identified the figurine as a representation of a deity associated with liminal spaces, thresholds between worlds. Traces of the alkaloid matching Morgan's toxicology report were found on these artifacts. The case took a darker turn as forensic analysis of the house's dust patterns unveiled a presence besides Morgan during her final moments. Partial fingerprints, distinct from Morgan's or any known visitors, were retrieved from doorknobs throughout the dwelling. 3 weeks into the inquiry, Adam Reeves was discovered lifeless in his residence. Mirroring Morgan's posture, he sat facing the entrance, a serene expression on his face, the same alkaloid detected in his system. Clutched in his hand was a key that unlocked no door in his apartment but fit flawlessly into the hidden compartment within the Victorian. In his last written communication, sent to himself as a testament, Reeves inscribed, "The house doesn't bind you physically. It ensnares your perception." Morgan was correct. The doors led where they've always led, yet something tricks your mind into believing you're circling. Once you grasp the verity, you can depart at will, but by then, the desire to leave has faded. Officially deemed as suspicious deaths under scrutiny, the Victorian was condemned, its access restricted by the authorities. Yet whispers persisted of phantom lights flickering within on certain evenings and of visitors who vanished without a trace. Some locals professed that the house seized those who delved too deeply into its mysteries. Others speculated that Morgan and Reeves had unearthed a force ancient and potent, one existing in the crevices between conventional existence. The verity remained as elusive as an exit in a house where every door led back to the origin. Story 14. The wooden plank shifted ever so slightly under her weight, drawing her attention to its hidden secret. She knelt down, her fingers tracing the edges of the loose board, sensing the mystery beneath. The floor betrayed its solidity, hinting at a concealed truth waiting to be unveiled. With gentle determination, she lifted the boards, exposing a dim, narrow space that lay hidden beneath the foundation of her new home. Sarah Coleman peered into the darkness, her heart quickening with a mix of curiosity and apprehension. Detective Morgan Reed stood silently behind her, observing the scene unfold. The unearthed chamber held more than just forgotten relics. It held a chilling revelation that sent shivers down Sarah's spine. In the dim light of Detective Reed's flashlight, the hidden space revealed its secrets one by one. Walls adorned with surveillance photographs, capturing Sarah's every move with eerie precision. A disturbing shrine of obsession, meticulously curated by a man she had never met, Walter Green, the previous owner of the cottage. As investigators combed through the hidden chamber, a sense of unease settled over the room. The traces of Walter's fixation on Sarah painted a haunting picture of a life lived in the shadows, a life consumed by an unhealthy obsession. The investigation took an unexpected turn when a former coworker of Walter's revealed snippets of conversations that hinted at a deeper connection to Sarah. The pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place, revealing a disturbing pattern of behavior that had gone unnoticed for far too long. A key found in Walter's locker led to a storage unit that held a chilling replica of Sarah's former life. The meticulously recreated space mirrored Sarah's own apartment down to the smallest details. The realization of Walter's elaborate scheme sent a chill down Sarah's spine, a stark reminder of how close she had come to a fate unknown. The truth behind Walter's obsession with Sarah slowly unraveled, unveiling a history of delusion and fixation that spanned decades. His twisted belief in a destined union with Sarah painted a grim portrait of a man consumed by his own fantasies. As Sarah made the difficult decision to leave the house behind, the echoes of Walter's presence lingered in the shadows. The chilling reminder of what could have been served as a cautionary tale, a silent warning of the dangers that lurk beneath the surface of seemingly ordinary lives. Life moved on, the house passed on to new owners who remained unaware of its dark past. The hidden room was sealed off, its secrets buried once more. But for those who knew the truth, the memory of the room beneath the floor remained a haunting reminder of the fragile line between safety and danger, between reality and the chilling unknown. Story 15. Renovations always have a way of unearthing the unexpected. Old relics of the past resurface, yellowed newspapers, shattered trinkets, fading photographs. Yet when Sarah and Michael pried up the floorboards in their newly acquired Victorian-era home, they stumbled upon a hidden message neatly tucked beneath the aged wood. The letter, fragile and worn, bore a cryptic warning: "Don't trust the one who knocked." Before they could process the eerie find, 3 sharp knocks reverberated through the silent house, sending shivers down their spines. Drawn to the mystique of the estate auction, Sarah and Michael had been captivated by the intricate details and storied past of the house. Little did they anticipate that their endeavor to renovate would unearth a dark secret. Detective Alina Reed arrived on the scene, the exposed floorboards revealing a shadowy void below. With weathered hands accustomed to sifting through evidence, she gingerly retrieved the note, already tainted by the couple's touch of contamination inevitable. As Reed delved into the unfolding mystery, the couple recounted the chilling sound of knocking. Background checks on Sarah and Michael yielded no red flags, just a pair of newlyweds with solid reputations. However, the house bore a more intricate history. Once the abode of the Hargrove family for generations, it had sat empty since the passing of the last inhabitant, the reclusive widow Margaret Hargrove. Neighbors painted a picture of a solitary yet amiable woman with no known adversaries. The circumstances surrounding her demise seemed unremarkable natural causes, the official verdict. Yet an unsettling aura lingered. Forensic analysis dated the cryptic note back 2 decades, its script bearing traces of unease, hinting at urgency or fear. At the time, Margaret would have been in her 60s, living with her late husband, Franklin. Reed's investigation expanded, unearthing nuggets of information from county archives and former acquaintances of the Hargroves. Franklin, a well-regarded retired educator with a penchant for woodworking, left behind traces of his craftsmanship within the home. A former student recalled Franklin's descent into paranoia during his final teaching years, a behavior initially dismissed as early-onset dementia. The breakthrough came during Reed's interview with Margaret's aging sister, who, amidst fading memory, whispered of Margaret's apprehension towards a mysterious visitor, the collector who knocked. Franklin's gambling debts had brought this ominous figure to their doorstep, a debt collector named Victor Mercer, who vanished without a trace 2 decades prior. Revisiting the house with a forensic team, Reed's meticulous search uncovered a grim truth buried beneath the foundation: a male skeleton, its skull fractured, wrapped in plastic. Dental records ruled out Franklin as the victim, whose ashes had long been scattered. The wallet found with the remains bore the identity of Victor Mercer, a known loan shark involved in illicit gambling activities. Margaret's hidden diaries, discovered in the attic, provided the missing pieces to the macabre puzzle. Franklin's confrontation with Mercer had escalated into a fatal altercation, leading to the loan shark's demise at the hands of the woodworking tools turned weapons. The note, a silent witness to the tragedy, emerged as a cautionary tale. Margaret, driven by fear and loyalty, had aided in concealing the crime, haunted by phantom knocks that persisted even after Franklin's passing. The house became a mausoleum of secrets, its walls echoing Margaret's descent into paranoia and isolation. With the case resolved, Mercer's remains were returned to his family, justice belatedly served. Sarah and Michael, unable to bear the weight of the house's grim history, sold the property, leaving it vacant and the renovations unfinished. Whispers in the town spoke of spectral knocks in the dead of night, a chilling reminder of the past. Detective Reed closed the case with a heavy heart, acknowledging that some mysteries defy complete unraveling, leaving behind a lingering sense of unease and unanswered questions. Story 16. The ancient envelope, its corners tinged with age, bore a pristine stamp freshly dispatched just a few days back. With delicate care, the detective unfolded its contents. Within lay a solitary sheet of paper, its words typed in a hurried, uneven script. "I beg your forgiveness for my transgressions." The paper exuded a dampness, carrying a faint scent of iron. Only upon closer inspection did the detective notice a reddish smear along the bottom edge, a stain that was distinctly not ink. With practiced precision, Detective Sarah Morgan secured the letter in an evidence bag, her gloved hands treating it with meticulous care. The forensic team had already confirmed her suspicions. The reddish mark was indeed human blood, matching the DNA from an unsolved homicide that had plagued the department for years. The victim, a young journalist named Rebecca Warren, had been discovered in her apartment, bearing multiple stab wounds. Her laptop was missing, her notes strewn across the floor, hinting that the attack might be linked to an investigative piece she was pursuing. Despite countless interviews and exhaustive hours of inquiry, the case had remained cold. And now this mysterious letter had found its way to the police headquarters, simply addressed to Homicide Division. The paper and envelope revealed minimal fingerprints, only faint smudges indicating the sender likely wore gloves. The postmark, however, offered a glimmer of hope, a tangible light after months of stagnation. Morgan summoned her team to the briefing room, where the walls were adorned with images of crime scenes, timelines, and suspect profiles that had led nowhere. Pinning the letter front and center, she declared, "This changes everything. Our perpetrator shows remorse." Detective James Chen, Morgan's longtime partner on the case, scrutinized the letter. "Or perhaps they wish to deceive us into believing so," he countered. "The blood could be a theatrical touch, a means to mock us." The forensics team traced the unique typewriter impression to a model long out of production, a rarity but not beyond reach. They set out to contact antique dealers and collectors across the region. As the investigation gained momentum, they delved deeper into Rebecca's life. Her editor portrayed her as relentless, dedicated to uncovering corruption. Her recent assignment involved probing into a wealthy family entangled in local politics. With the family patriarch's recent passing, disputes over the inheritance and accusations of manipulation among siblings had surfaced. The detectives revisited Rebecca's boyfriend, Michael Barnes. In their initial conversation months earlier, he had seemed shattered, providing a solid alibi. But now, with the incriminating letter in hand, subtle shifts in his demeanor caught their attention, furtive glances, a tremor in his hands. Rebecca mentioned feeling followed, he confessed during the latest interrogation. "I dismissed her concerns as paranoia due to her investigation. I should have heeded her warnings." While the detectives pursued this lead, a second letter materialized. Same typewriter, same bloodstains. This time the message was more detailed. She unearthed too much about the family. About the inheritance, about the patriarch's demise. "I never intended for things to escalate to that extent." The trail led them to the mansion of the deceased patriarch, where they interviewed the eldest son, Richard. Among his collection of antiques were several vintage typewriters. His explanations regarding them seemed rehearsed, overly polished. A breakthrough emerged when microscopic fibers on the envelopes matched custom stationery exclusive to the family's youngest daughter, Eleanor. Under scrutiny, Eleanor disclosed that Richard had borrowed her stationery a month prior. A search of Richard's residence unveiled a concealed chamber containing articles about Rebecca, surveillance imagery, and a vintage typewriter identical to the one used for the letters. Blood analysis confirmed it belonged to Rebecca. The unexpected twist came with the revelation of a connection between Richard and Michael. Financial records revealed substantial transfers from Richard to Michael in the weeks leading up to Rebecca's murder. Confronted, Michael broke down. She discovered evidence of Richard poisoning his father to expedite his inheritance, he confessed. "I informed Richard of her findings, hoping to scare her off the trail. I never anticipated he would resort to murder." The final puzzle piece slotted into place when Eleanor presented a covert recording. Captured in secret, the dialogue between Richard and Michael discussed how to handle Rebecca. Richard's voice was unmistakable. She must be silenced permanently. Richard was apprehended while attempting to flee. The prosecution built its case around the letters, the typewriter, the financial transactions, and Eleanor's recording. Michael accepted a plea deal in exchange for his testimony. Throughout the trial, Richard maintained his innocence, asserting Michael acted independently and framed him. However, the evidence was overwhelming. The jury's deliberation lasted less than a day before rendering a guilty verdict. As Richard was escorted away in restraints, Detective Morgan approached Rebecca's parents in the courtroom. Though no words could resurrect their daughter, the conviction brought a semblance of closure. The blood-stained letters remained archived, a poignant reminder that even the most meticulously orchestrated crimes leave behind traces, and that remorse, whether authentic or strategic, can unravel those who believe they've executed the perfect crime. The case of Rebecca Warren stood as a seminal lesson in detective training, illustrating that breakthroughs can emerge not solely from cutting-edge forensics, but from the humble presence of an antique typewriter and the burden of guilt weighing upon a killer's soul. Story 17. As she ascended to the attic, a place she always avoided, the necessity brought her face to face with forgotten relics shrouded in layers of dust and cobwebs. Among the antiquities, nestled in the shadows, stood an old dollhouse, exquisitely crafted with meticulous attention to detail. Yet, a sense of unease crept over her as she peered into the miniature world. The figures within were not mere dolls, but intricately carved replicas of her own kin, each one a mirror image of her family members as they sat downstairs. But one figure stood out of place herself, positioned by the attic doorway. Running her finger along the dollhouse's roof, she felt the imprint where the tiny wooden version of herself stood. A shiver ran down her spine, unrelated to the chill seeping through the cracks in the attic. This dollhouse had no place here. This wasn't the home of her childhood, but a temporary abode her family had recently settled into. Rebecca Morgan's distress prompted a call to law enforcement, leading to a scene of upheaval in the suburban residence. The family, gripped by fear, remained huddled in the living room, refusing to return to the upper floors. Detective Sarah Harmon, the lead investigator, initially presumed the situation a prank or a side effect of the family's adjustment to unfamiliar surroundings. However, the intricate craftsmanship of the miniature figures intrigued her. Each detail captured a unique aspect of the family members: the father's thinning hair, the son's favorite hoodie, the mother's tiny birthmark. The mystery deepened when forensic analysis revealed fingerprints on the dollhouse belonging to none of the family members. Even more unsettling were microscopic cameras hidden within the figures' eyes, all connected to a sophisticated recording system concealed beneath the dollhouse. The investigation took a dark turn as it unveiled a pattern of observation that surpassed mere stalking. The miniature figures mirrored the family's daily routines from different days, hinting at a prolonged period of surveillance to learn their habits. This was not a typical case, Detective Harmon later reflected. The level of obsession displayed by the perpetrator was beyond anything we'd encountered before. A concealed entrance to a basement living space was discovered, indicating someone had been dwelling beneath the family's feet for weeks. Surprisingly, there was no sign of forced entry, and property records revealed the house had been unoccupied for a significant period before the Morgans' arrival. The breakthrough came through digital evidence, linking the surveillance system to an external server in a distant apartment. Inside, a disturbing collection of photographs and journals chronicling the lives of various families was uncovered. Martin Wells, the son of the previous homeowners, had been orchestrating a twisted game of control. Financial troubles had led him to create hidden living spaces in multiple homes, monitoring the occupants through meticulously crafted dollhouses. His fixation on maintaining authority over his childhood home had spiraled into a delusional obsession. During interrogation, Wells remained eerily composed, admitting to his surveillance activities as a means of asserting dominance over the homes he felt belonged to him. His psychological evaluation painted a portrait of possessive delusion, stemming from an inability to cope with loss. The dollhouse symbolized his attempt to possess not only the property, but also the lives of its residents. The Morgans, shattered by the invasion of their privacy, never returned to the house, haunted by the realization that they had been mere pawns in a disturbed individual's game. Wells faced charges of stalking, invasion of privacy, and unlawful surveillance, prompting a reevaluation of real estate laws regarding tenant safety and disclosure. The judge, recognizing the profound violations suffered by the Morgan family, condemned Wells for his manipulation and voyeurism. The case left criminologists astounded by the extent of Wells' clandestine activities, stretching back years across multiple properties. The Morgans sought solace in a new home far from the tainted memories, yet the specter of being watched lingered in Rebecca's mind. The dollhouses were banished and precautions taken, but the fear of unseen eyes persisted. Some days the shadows feel alive, and I wonder if somewhere a miniature version of me is still being manipulated in a dollhouse I have yet to uncover, Rebecca confessed. The echoes of Wells' twisted reality continued to reverberate, a chilling reminder that sometimes the most haunting tales are the ones woven in the quiet corners of our everyday lives. Story 18. The dwelling had sat abandoned, untouched by life for what felt like an eternity. Whispers from the neighbors hinted that the house had remained vacant ever since the young woman's disappearance, a haunting mystery shrouded in silence. But when the new occupants crossed the threshold, a peculiar sensation lingered in the air. The bedroom, sealed shut from within, yielded to their persistence, revealing a realm frozen in time. The atmosphere was thick with neglect, dust dancing in the stagnant air, yet an unsettling presence lingered. The bed was immaculately made, the mirror devoid of blemish. A solitary candle, now a mere memory of itself, stood as a solemn sentinel on the desk, its wax weeping frozen tears of solitude. Amidst the stillness, a notebook lay open, its pages adorned with fresh ink that seemed to whisper secrets of the past. Detective Morgan delved into the chronicles penned by Elise Winters, a name etched in the annals of obscurity. Her elegant script adorned the pages, each stroke a tale untold, until the narrative abruptly shifted in the final entry. The ink bore witness to Elise's apprehension, her words a plea veiled in fear. I sense his gaze upon me tonight, the last entry revealed. The ominous car passes by, a harbinger of shadows. My cries for aid fall on deaf ears. Should darkness descend, know that fate had a hand in this, not mere chance. With a hushed reverence, the detective secured the notebook, a relic of a lost soul's final words. The room exhaled a faint scent of dust intermingled with an elusive chemical essence, a haunting echo of the past. The landlord lingered at the threshold, a ghostly figure with pallid features, haunted by the revelations unfolding before his eyes. We combed every inch before listing the property. His voice trembled. That door was never meant to be locked. Elise had been a paralegal at Harriman and Associates, a realm of legal machinations and corporate intrigue. Whispers of her late-night vigils and unearthed truths echoed through the corridors of power. Colleagues spoke of a transformation within her, a descent into isolation, fueled by revelations unearthed in the shadows of the Westridge acquisition files. Numbers danced deceitfully, documents whispered half-truths in the night. The detective beheld portraits of Elise, a vision of determination and grace cloaked in a facade of steel. The enigma of her disappearance defied logic, leaving behind a tableau frozen in time. No signs of struggle tainted the room, no crimson trails marred the pristine facade. It was as though Elise had stepped away momentarily, leaving a world suspended in anticipation. As the investigators delved deeper, hidden truths began to unfurl. A concealed compartment beneath a loose floorboard unveiled a trove of secrets, an encrypted key to unlock a realm of clandestine dealings. The revelations within the safe deposit box at Northern Trust Bank painted a portrait of deception etched in shadows. Financial transactions danced with offshore accounts, a waltz of deceit orchestrated by unseen hands. The digital whispers of the flash drives echoed with damning truths, a symphony of corruption orchestrated by the elite. Neuropax, a beacon of hope tainted by lies, cast a shadow upon the realm of pharmaceutical purity. Elise's voice mingled with that of Vincent Harriman, a titan of deception, as they danced on the precipice of truth and treachery. The unraveling tapestry of deceit led to the doorstep of Harriman, a man cloaked in shadows of his making. The evidence, though circumstantial, painted a vivid portrait of guilt, a tapestry woven with threads of betrayal and blood. The enigma of the locked room beckoned for resolution, a puzzle waiting to be solved. Through the lens of security footage, the truth unfurled, a specter of the night, a figure cloaked in darkness, moving with purpose. Harriman's facade crumbled as the hidden passage was unveiled, a portal to a realm of shadows hidden beneath the surface. Justice, though delayed, found its mark. Harriman's fall from grace echoed through the halls of power, a testament to the resilience of truth. Elise's legacy, a whisper in the night, spoke volumes of a soul unbound by silence. The room she never truly departed became a shrine of justice, a testament to her unwavering resolve. As the house stood in solemn vigil, its secrets laid bare to the world, a hushed reverence enveloped the neighborhood. Whispers of a ghostly light flickering in the night sky echoed through the streets, a tribute to the young woman who defied the shadows of power. In the silence of the night, justice found its voice, a lullaby of redemption for the soul that lingered within the walls of the vacant house. Story 19. In the stillness of the night, a faint flicker danced across the baby monitor's screen, catching the mother's attention like a fleeting shadow. Dismissing it as mere interference, she settled back, only to be startled by a sudden crackle of static and a soft, eerie whisper that seemed to echo from the depths of the unknown. SHHH, go back to sleep. A chill ran down her spine as her heart quickened its pace, urging her to check on her precious son. With trembling hands, she rushed to his room, the air thick with a silent dread that hung heavy around her. But as she flung open the door, her worst fears materialized. The crib stood empty, a void where her baby should have been nestled in peaceful slumber. Panic clawed at her chest as she scanned the room, desperate for any sign of her child. The window remained shut, the door securely locked, yet the only anomaly lay in the form of a stuffed rabbit abandoned on the floor, its unblinking black eyes fixed on her like a silent witness to the unfolding nightmare. In the darkness, Rebecca's anguished screams pierced the night, tearing through the veil of normalcy and drawing the attention of concerned neighbors who swiftly summoned help. The authorities arrived to find her huddled on the nursery floor, clutching the stuffed rabbit to her chest, lost in a realm of disbelief and sorrow. As the investigation unfolded, the mystery deepened, shrouding the disappearance of baby Samuel in a cloak of perplexity. No forced entry, no tangible clues, just the unsettling absence of a child who had vanished without a trace, leaving behind a shattered family in its wake. Suspicion cast its shadow over Rebecca, her every move scrutinized through a lens of doubt and speculation. With her husband Daniel away on business, the spotlight turned on her, fueled by whispers of postpartum struggles and a strained marriage that hinted at shadows lurking beneath the surface. Yet amidst the uncertainty, a glimmer of hope emerged, a microscopic clue that hinted at a clandestine intruder, a phantom who had slipped through the cracks of security to orchestrate the unimaginable. Fibers of a rare climbing rope, a shadowy figure captured in the night, and a footprint etched in soil all whispered of a calculated plan executed with chilling precision. Daniel's return from his trip unraveled a tangled web of secrets, his hands bearing the marks of a hidden past, his hobbies concealing a darker truth. As the pieces fell into place, a sinister portrait emerged, a man entangled in a web of deceit, his motives veiled in shadows that obscured the line between love and greed. The digital realm held the key to unlocking the truth, exposing a betrayal that cut deeper than any physical wound. The baby monitor, once a source of comfort, now stood as a silent witness to treachery, its signal manipulated to deceive and disrupt the fragile peace of a family torn asunder. In a chilling revelation, Samuel was found alive, a pawn in a twisted game orchestrated by a woman named Elaine, her gaze vacant as the handcuffs clicked into place, sealing her fate as an accomplice to a crime born of loss and desperation. The trial painted a portrait of deception and heartache, each revelation peeling back the layers of a conspiracy that had shattered lives and left scars that would never fully heal. Daniel's cough, a telltale echo in the darkness, his guilt resounding through the courtroom as justice finally caught up to those who had played with lives as if they were mere pawns in a game of betrayal. As the dust settled and wounds began to mend, Rebecca and Samuel embarked on a journey of healing, leaving behind the shadows of the past to forge a future bathed in the gentle light of hope. The baby monitor, a silent sentinel of truth, remained a reminder of the night that changed everything, a night when whispers carried far more than words, echoing the depths of a darkness that threatened to consume all in its path. And so, as the world moved on, lessons were learned, safeguards put in place, and a family found solace in the quiet moments of a new beginning, where the echoes of the past faded into the mists of memory, leaving only the whispers of a time when the truth lay hidden in the stillness of the night. Story 20. In the quiet stillness of the night, a faint sound echoed through the darkness. It wasn't just any sound, it was a pocket dial, a connection to the unknown. Static and muffled noises filled the line, almost lost in the vast expanse of the operator's world. At first, it seemed insignificant, a mere glitch in the cosmic symphony of life. But then a voice pierced through the chaos, a voice trembling with fear and urgency. A woman's voice, barely above a whisper, spoke frantically into the void, "He's here." And then, as suddenly as it had appeared, the voice vanished, leaving behind a haunting silence that lingered in the air like a ghostly whisper. The number traced back to an empty house, a forgotten relic of the past, standing in solemn silence as if holding onto secrets long buried. The house had been abandoned for years, its walls steeped in memories of a family long gone. There were no signs of forced entry, no disturbances in the dust that coated every surface. In the dim light of the moon, Detective Morgan Reed stood in the kitchen of the abandoned house, her gaze fixed on the phone that lay on the counter, its screen glowing faintly in the darkness. The call had been made mere minutes ago, yet the house remained untouched, frozen in time. Pressing the playback button for the 5th time, Morgan listened to the recording, each word a chilling reminder of the inexplicable mystery that lay before her. The voice on the other end of the line, desperate and terrified, seemed to beckon from beyond the grave, a presence that defied logic and reason. The house had once belonged to the Sullivan family, a family torn apart by tragedy. A fire had ravaged the West Wing, forcing them to flee, leaving behind a shell of a home haunted by memories of what once was. The caretaker, an old man with tired eyes and a heart heavy with secrets, swore that no one had set foot in the house for years. "Background check on the number," Morgan's voice cut through the silence, breaking the spell that hung over the empty rooms. Her partner, Detective Walsh, nodded solemnly, his gaze fixed on the phone in the evidence bag. "Registered to Catherine Sullivan, the daughter. She passed away 3 years ago in a car accident." The pieces of the puzzle refused to fit together, each fragment leading to more questions than answers. A dead woman's phone making calls from an abandoned house, how could it be? The phone sat on the counter, a silent witness to a truth that eluded even the keenest minds. The forensic team scoured the house, searching for clues in the shadows that danced along the walls. They found nothing of significance, no fingerprints on the device except for faint smudges that offered no solace. The doors remained locked, the windows sealed shut, as if guarding a secret too dark to be revealed. And so the recording became the heart of their investigation, a riddle wrapped in static and whispers. Those 11 seconds of sound, of breath and fear, held the key to a mystery that defied explanation. Voice analysis confirmed what they already suspected: the voice belonged to Catherine Sullivan, with a certainty that sent shivers down their spines. As they delved deeper into Catherine's past, interviewing those who had known her, a chilling portrait began to emerge. Her father, now a shadow of his former self, could offer no insight. Her mother, a woman haunted by loss, wept at the sound of her daughter's voice, a voice from beyond the grave. But it was Catherine's boyfriend, Mark Jennings, who held the key to the truth. A man with a past shrouded in darkness, his alibi for the night of the call seemed airtight, and yet the pieces refused to align, the shadows of doubt creeping ever closer. It was when Catherine's mother made a discovery, a journal hidden among her daughter's belongings, that the truth began to unravel. The journal spoke of a love turned sour, of a relationship poisoned by control and fear. In the final entry, Catherine's words echoed with a chilling certainty: "If anything happens to me, it wasn't an accident." Confronted with the evidence, Mark's facade crumbled, his lies laid bare in the harsh light of truth. But still, he denied any wrongdoing, his words a desperate attempt to cling to a reality that was slipping through his fingers like sand. And then a breakthrough: a buried phone, unearthed from the depths of the earth, its secrets laid bare for all to see. Deleted texts told a story of betrayal and violence, of a life cut short by the hands of someone she once loved. The truth, long buried beneath layers of deception, finally came to light. As the pieces of the puzzle fell into place, a chilling realization dawned on Morgan and Walsh. Mark Jennings was not just a man with blood on his hands, he was a predator, a wolf in sheep's clothing, preying on the vulnerable and the voiceless. The trial was swift, the verdict unanimous. Mark Jennings was found guilty of first-degree murder, his crimes laid bare for all to see. And as justice was served, a sense of closure washed over those who had been touched by Catherine's story, a story of love and betrayal, of fear and redemption. The phone from the abandoned house now rests in the evidence locker, a silent reminder of a life cut short by violence and deceit. Sometimes, in the stillness of the night, officers swear they hear it ring, a ghostly echo of a voice long gone. But Catherine's story lives on, not as a tale of ghosts and hauntings, but as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, to the power of a voice that refuses to be silenced. In the end, it was not the ghostly whispers or the static on the line that brought justice. It was the courage of a woman who refused to be forgotten, who spoke from beyond the grave to ensure that her voice would never be silenced again. Story 21: The Whispering House. She felt a sudden urge to transform the nursery before the little one's arrival, a desire to repaint the faded blue walls that held silent tales of years gone by. As the white paint cascaded smoothly over the tired surface, a hidden secret began to emerge, unveiling itself gradually. Letters, barely discernible at first, gradually sharpened into focus, forming a message etched beneath the surface of the wall. "Don't let it hear you." Her breath caught in her throat, sending a shiver down her spine. Stepping back, her eyes widened as she noticed something eerie: tiny handprints embedded in the fresh paint, positioned too high for any child's reach. This peculiar revelation in the nursery of the Morgan residence marked the inception of what would later be known as the Whispering House case. The young couple had acquired the Victorian-style home at a remarkably low price, unaware of the shadowy history that lurked within its walls. The real estate agent had casually mentioned minor cosmetic issues, concealing the darker truths that lay dormant. Detective Sarah Klein, clutching her notebook, pressed the doorbell, greeted by a pregnant woman clad in paint-stained overalls, her tired eyes betraying sleepless nights. The expectant mother recounted the chilling discovery of the hidden message in ghostly handprints. The previous owners vanished overnight, she revealed, her voice quivering. No farewell, just a hasty departure with essentials packed in their car. Inside the historical abode, the detective's footsteps echoed against aged floorboards as she made her way to the nursery. There she observed the remnants of the unfinished painting, the cryptic message still lingering beneath the fresh coat of paint. Beside it, 5 small handprints, imprinted in the wet paint, stood out starkly at the height of an adult's shoulder. Back at the precinct, Detective Klein delved into the property's records, uncovering a troubling pattern of ownership changes: 8 transitions in 30 years, a remarkably high turnover rate. More unsettling were the child welfare reports linked to 3 of those families, detailing children's accounts of whispers from unseen entities and eerie presences watching them as they slept. Further investigation led the detective to explore construction records and historical archives, unveiling a grim past. The house had once belonged to Alina Blackwood, a wealthy widow who had operated an orphanage within its walls during the industrial era. Newspaper clippings hinted at the mysterious disappearance of 5 children from her care, presumed to have run away. When Alina's life ebbed away, renovators stumbled upon a sealed room hidden behind the nursery wall, containing remnants of children's belongings: tiny shoes, toys, and clothing, but no bodies. The enigma faded into obscurity, buried in dusty archives. Interviews with former residents unveiled a haunting continuum of strange events, a recurring narrative of toys shifting inexplicably, echoes of childish laughter reverberating through empty corridors, and spontaneous crayon drawings materializing on walls. Most dismissed these occurrences as figments of imagination until the ominous inscriptions surfaced during repainting endeavors. A forensic linguist's analysis tied the cryptic messages to Alina Blackwood's handwriting, while the identical handprints, despite varying occupants, defied rational explanation. The investigation took a morbid turn when ground-penetrating radar revealed anomalies beneath the basement floor: 5 distinct shapes, reminiscent of child-sized entities. Beneath the concrete lay a grim revelation: 5 sets of remains arranged in a macabre circle, affirming the tragic fate of the missing children from Alina's era. Each child bore a pendant engraved with their name, dispelling the myth of their supposed escape. In a bid to unravel the lingering mysteries, luminol was sprayed throughout the nursery, unveiling a spectral display of handprints adorning every wall, invisible to the naked eye. Hundreds of imprints, in a desperate attempt to escape, painted a haunting tableau of despair. Eliner's diaries, salvaged from county archives, exposed her macabre intent. She sought to harness the life force of orphaned children, entombing them within the hidden chamber to prolong her own existence. The children's scratched warnings on the walls served as a final plea for justice, a faint echo across time. With the closure of the case came the solemn burial of the 5 victims, their names finally etched into history as innocent souls lost to a malevolent scheme. The house stood desolate, its new occupants refusing to set foot within its walls again. As Detective Klein concluded her final report, a sense of unresolved unease lingered, a spectral presence that transcended physical confines. The nursery walls, demolished during the cleansing process, echoed with phantom whispers, driving away even the hardiest of workers at day's end. The condemned house became a relic of bygone horrors, another enigma consigned to dusty archives, a testament to closure achieved, yet spiritual enigmas left unanswered. Amidst the fading echoes of the past, one photograph remained etched in the detective's memory, 5 luminol handprints glowing in the darkness, a poignant reminder that some crimes leave indelible imprints, impervious to the passage of time. Story 22, the aged library faced its imminent demise, its walls whispering tales of forgotten mysteries. As the workers neared completion of the demolition, a curious twist of fate unfolded. A laborer's clumsy step revealed a hidden latch within a dusty bookshelf. With a hushed click, the shelf swung open, unveiling a clandestine passage leading to a chamber untouched by time. The air within was heavy, pregnant with decades of silence. In that secret room, devoid of furniture save for a solitary chair bolted to the floor, a chilling message loomed on the wall, etched repeatedly, "I am still here." The construction foreman wasted no time and radioed for the authorities. What began as a routine task swiftly morphed into a dark enigma. Detective Morgan Walsh, a seasoned investigator with 2 decades of experience, arrived at the scene. His steady presence belied the unease that crept through the hidden chamber, illuminated by the beam of his flashlight. The walls bore the unsettling proclamation that seemed to resonate in the confined space. "Secure the area," Walsh commanded the officers, his voice echoing ominously. "No one disturbs a thing until forensics arrives." The library's history cast a haunting shadow over the unfolding mystery. It had once belonged to the esteemed Harrington family, renowned figures in the community who had gifted the edifice to the public following the inexplicable disappearance of their daughter, Rebecca. She had vanished without a trace during her final year of college, leaving behind only an abandoned car near the woods. Despite extensive searches and inquiries, her fate remained a puzzle. As forensic experts meticulously combed through the hidden room, they unearthed hair and fiber remnants ensnared in the chair. The scratches on the wall harbored traces of blood and skin cells beneath layers of neglect. Initial analyses hinted at a young female origin. "This chair was meant for confinement," the analyst remarked, gesturing toward the weathered leather straps and bolt holes. The struggle within those walls had been fierce. Walsh delved into the Harrington lineage with a growing sense of unease. The timing of the library donation after Rebecca's vanishing tugged at his instincts. Further probing unveiled a disconcerting revelation. The contractor responsible for the bookshelf's installation had close ties to Maxwell Harrington, Rebecca's uncle and the family patriarch. Financial records divulged unusual payments to the contractor, far beyond standard expenses. Former library staff expressed shock at the revelation, unaware of the concealed chamber's existence. A breakthrough emerged when DNA analysis linked samples from the hidden room to Rebecca's hairbrush. The chilling truth began to unfurl. The young woman had not fled, but had been held captive, likely by a relative. A search warrant was swiftly executed at the Harrington estate, leading to a pivotal discovery in Maxwell's study, a hidden journal chronicling a disturbing obsession with his niece. The final entry laid bare the sinister reality. She threatened to expose me. I cannot let that happen. The room will keep her until she understands. Maxwell, now residing in a coastal retreat, faced intense interrogation. Initially defiant, he crumbled under the weight of evidence. She was a threat to everything, he confessed coldly. Rebecca uncovered my embezzlement scheme. The family's reputation was at stake. I couldn't allow her to ruin it. His admission painted a macabre portrait. Rebecca had been lured, imprisoned, and ultimately slain within the hidden confines of the library. Forensic scans confirmed the presence of human remains beneath the floorboards of the secret room. Excavation revealed Rebecca's skeletal remains, adorned with the silver bracelet her parents had gifted her. At Maxwell's sentencing, the Harrington family stood in somber silence, clutching the bracelet, a poignant token of closure. The library's demolition came to a halt, transforming into a site of remembrance and reverence. Flowers adorned the entrance, a tribute to a life cut short and a truth concealed behind a veil of shadows. In a bittersweet twist, Rebecca's resolute message, "I am still here," etched on the walls, ensured her eternal presence and heralded the belated arrival of justice. The library, once slated for destruction, now stood as a silent sentinel to a tragedy unveiled, a testament to the enduring power of truth and the relentless pursuit of closure. Story 23. The town never whispered a word about the house on the outskirts of the forest. It stood silent, its windows dark, its porch weary from the weight of time. No one laid claim to it, no one recalled its builder. Yet when a group of wanderers strayed too near, they glimpsed a peculiar sight, names etched into the wooden panels, carved deep as omens. At the very end of the list, fresh and untouched, was a name unfamiliar to all. Until a shiver passed through them and one whispered, "That name is mine." The call came in under the cloak of night. Dispatch logged it as a routine trespassing incident. The voice at the other end belonged to Mason Wright, the leader of the group, who stumbled upon his name etched into the abandoned dwelling. The responding officers anticipated mere mischief, perhaps a jest among friends, but what awaited them defied logic. Detective Sarah Keller arrived as twilight embraced the woods. Her flashlight pierced the darkness, revealing the aged front of the house. The names 27 in total ran vertically along the eastern wall. Some had faded with age, nearly blending into the timber's gray hues. Others remained sharp, as if freshly carved, and at the base, Mason Wright, the cut still bearing traces of new sawdust. "I've never set foot here before," Mason insisted, his breath forming mist in the chill air. "I can't fathom how my name got here." The inquiry commenced with checks on each name listed. The findings sent a shiver down the spines of the detective team. Every name belonged to an individual reported missing over the past 40 years. Some cases had turned cold, others remained active, but they shared a chilling similarity: the individuals had vanished while hiking alone. Forensic experts meticulously photographed each carving, documenting the depths, techniques, and weathering patterns. The oldest name, Rebecca Hanson, aligned with a missing persons case from 37 years ago. The records recounted a young woman who ventured into these woods and never returned. Search parties unearthed naught but a solitary hiking boot beside a stream. Detective Keller delved deep into Mason's accounts. His tale remained unwavering. He bore no ties to the area beyond this hike with 4 college pals. The trail they chose at random, guided by an online suggestion. No thread of his past linked him to any name on the wall. Attention then turned to Mason's companions. Emily Chen, the group's photographer, shared snapshots taken during their trek. Upon scrutiny, analysts noted a disquieting detail. A blurry figure loomed in the background of 3 distinct photos. A tall, slender shape, always partly obscured by trees. "We saw no one else on the trail," Emily insisted. "We'd have surely remembered." Detective Keller sanctioned a search of the house's interior. The structure appeared forsaken. Dust cloaked every surface. Furniture lay in disarray. Yet in the basement, officers stumbled upon a disturbing sight. Personal effects of the missing hikers lay neatly arranged on wooden shelves. Watches, backpacks, cameras, wallets, each tagged with a name matching those on the exterior wall. Technicians meticulously cataloged every item. Beneath ultraviolet light, blood traces materialized on the concrete floor, stains that someone had tried to erase. Despite ground scans revealing no buried bodies, cadaver dogs persistently alerted near the back of the property where the forest grew dense. As the probe escalated, Detective Keller observed peculiar conduct from Mason Wright. He reported odd incidents, whispers outside his flat, footprints in fresh snow leading to his door but never away, shadowy figures observing from the street. The department assigned an officer to safeguard him, yet Mason's paranoia burgeoned. A breakthrough surfaced as researchers unearthed buried land records in county archives. The house had belonged to a secluded hunter named Victor Blackwood. Neighbors caught scarce glimpses of him, recounting brief encounters with an unnaturally tall, gaunt man who shunned conversation. Blackwood vanished without a trace 15 years prior, his disappearance left uninvestigated. Detective Keller secured a warrant to plunge deeper into the surrounding woods. The search party uncovered a web of rudimentary hunting blinds, strategically positioned along favored hiking trails. Within one, they stumbled upon a journal chronicling meticulous observations, details of hikers, their paths, gear, and routines. The penmanship matched samples from Victor Blackwood's scant documents. The entries grew increasingly unsettling. Early pages detailed hunting tactics for animals. Later ones depicted humans as prey, their behaviors, weaknesses, and methods for their collection. The final pages held intricate accounts of tracking each victim on the wall, including elaborate notes on how he chose his prey. A manhunt for Blackwood spread across multiple jurisdictions. Helicopters equipped with thermal imaging scoured the forest. Tactical teams combed every nook and cranny. Yet the suspect remained elusive. Mason Wright ceased to answer his phone. Officers sent to his flat found it unlocked, empty rooms greeting them. On his bedroom wall, freshly carved, read a single line: "The hunter becomes the hunted." The search for Mason persisted fruitlessly. Then, during a secondary sweep of Blackwood's residence, forensic technicians chanced upon a horrifying revelation. Concealed behind a false panel in the basement, they discovered a small workshop housing woodworking tools, jars of wood preservatives, and a newly carved wooden piece bearing a fresh name not yet affixed to the outer wall. Detective Keller recognized the name instantly. It belonged to the chief forensic technician who had processed the house during the initial inquiry. The technician had called in sick that morning, unreachable by phone. Authorities established a continuous watch perimeter around the house. Cameras monitored every approach. Motion sensors alerted to intrusions. The trap was set. 3 nights later, sensors screamed an alert. Surveillance footage captured a figure emerging from the woods, impossibly tall and slender, moving with an eerie grace. The figure advanced toward the house directly, seemingly unfazed by the surveillance. As tactical teams closed in, the cameras briefly lost signal. When they reconnected, the figure had vanished. The house remains under constant watch to this day. Mason Wright and the forensic technician never resurfaced. The investigation persists, with fresh resources allocated as similar vanishings surface in other wooded realms. The names on the wall have become lore among law enforcers. Some officers refuse to utter them. Others steer clear of the case entirely. And local hikers now steer clear of the house, fearing that acknowledging it might somehow add their names to that dreadful list, the names no voice dares to speak. Story 24. In the quiet stillness of the night, the new tenants of the Victorian-era house embarked on a journey they never anticipated. Michael and Sarah Klein, drawn to the charm of the old residence, found themselves at the mercy of a mystery hidden within its walls. It began innocently enough, with a simple water stain in the master bedroom. A yellowish discoloration on the floral wallpaper caught Sarah's eye, leading them down a path they never imagined. As they peeled back the layers, each revealing a piece of the past, they stumbled upon something unexpected: words etched in ink, repeating a name over and over again. Eleanor Winters, the name whispered from the wall, written in a frantic, uneven script that seemed to pulse with a hidden energy. Who was she, this mysterious Eleanor? The Kleins found themselves entangled in a web of curiosity and unease, their peaceful abode now tinged with a sense of foreboding. Late into the night, bathed in the soft glow of their laptop screen, they delved into the depths of the internet, seeking answers that remained elusive. The name Eleanor Winters led them to a missing persons case from decades past, shrouded in mystery and unanswered questions. As they unraveled the threads of the past, a chilling realization dawned upon them. The woman who had sold them the house, Margaret Cavendish, bore an uncanny resemblance to the missing Eleanor, a haunting connection that defied logic and reason, weaving a tapestry of intrigue and dread. Their once beloved home transformed into a battleground of secrets and lies as they dug deeper into the shadows that lurked within its walls. The layers they peeled back revealed not just the history of the house, but the fractured psyche of a woman long gone. Sarah's determination led them on a relentless pursuit of the truth, reaching out to previous homeowners and piecing together a puzzle that seemed unsolvable. Margaret Cavendish's disappearance mirrored Eleanor Winters' fate, blurring the lines between reality and illusion. With each revelation, the walls of the house whispered a tale of betrayal and obsession, a narrative written in ink and blood. The discovery of hidden identities and buried truths painted a portrait of a mind on the brink of madness, struggling to hold onto fragments of a shattered self. As the investigation unfolded, the Kleins found themselves at the center of a storm, their once idyllic home now a stage for a tragedy long buried. Ground-penetrating radar unearthed long-buried secrets, bringing the past crashing into the present with a force that could not be ignored. In the end, justice was served, but at a cost. The house that once held their dreams now stood as a monument to the darkness that dwelled within its walls. The names of Eleanor Winters and Margaret Cavendish echoed through the corridors, a haunting reminder of the price paid for uncovering the truth. And as the night descended upon the house, enveloping it in a shroud of silence, Michael and Sarah found solace in the knowledge that some mysteries are meant to remain buried, their secrets whispered only by the walls that hold them. Story 25. In a small town, a quaint coffee shop held secrets beyond the aroma of freshly brewed coffee. For years, a mysterious man known only as John Doe frequented the shop, blending into the background with his silent presence. His routine was as consistent as the sunrise: same table, same order, same enigmatic silence. The barista recognized his face, but his true identity remained a mystery to all. Then one fateful day, John Doe failed to make his usual appearance. When the police investigated, they discovered a wallet left behind at his customary seat. Inside the wallet was a driver's license with a photo, yet no name, no address, just an unsettling blank space where his identity should have been. Reviewing the security footage revealed a chilling truth. John had entered the coffee shop, sat down, but had never left. Detective Sarah Mercer delved into the perplexing case, her curiosity piqued by the inexplicable disappearance. As Mercer studied the footage, she noticed a peculiar flicker in the time stamp whenever John entered the shop. This anomaly led her to a revelation as she sat at his vacant table, her gaze drawn to an antique mirror hanging nearby. The mirror, adorned with cryptic symbols reminiscent of those in John's notebook, held a secret that transcended reality itself. Upon further investigation, a hidden compartment behind the mirror unveiled a trove of identical wallets, each containing a driver's license bearing the same photo with empty information fields. A journal chronicling decades of entries, penned in the same hand as John's mysterious notebook, hinted at experiments in temporal manipulation and identity transference. The journal spoke of a convergence point at the coffee shop where realities intersected, and the mirror served as a gateway between worlds. Mercer's understanding deepened as bizarre occurrences unfolded around the shop, reflections moving independently, sightings of John Doe where no one sat, and a sense of otherworldly presence lingering in the air. A breakthrough came when a retired physicist named Margaret Keller shed light on John Doe's true identity as Daniel Weston, a brilliant scientist who vanished while exploring the enigmatic properties of quantum mirrors. Weston believed in the existence of parallel realities and sought to traverse the boundaries between them. Mercer uncovered the coffee shop's connection to Weston's past, built atop the very laboratory where he had conducted his groundbreaking research. The pieces of the puzzle fell into place as she realized the profound implications of Weston's experiments and their impact on the fabric of reality. In a chilling moment of clarity, Mercer witnessed two versions of Daniel Weston coexisting in the mirror's reflection, a haunting testament to the blurred boundaries between worlds. The shattered mirror bore a final warning from Weston himself, signaling the closure of a chapter fraught with mysteries and dangers beyond comprehension. The case of the man who transcended existence remained unsolved, shrouded in the shadows of a coffee shop that had witnessed the convergence of multiple realities. As the shop closed its doors and the building met its demise, the enigma of Daniel Weston continued to haunt those who dared to unravel the mysteries of the mirror and the boundaries of reality itself. Story 26. In the stillness of the night, a mysterious parcel arrived in the mail, shrouded in secrecy. Wrapped in a plain envelope devoid of any return address, it held a single brass key, its surface weathered by the passage of time. The homeowner, a woman named Sarah Miller, felt a strange sense of recognition upon laying eyes on the key, though she couldn't place why. As she tested the key in every lock within her home, a sense of unease crept over her. It refused to turn in any of them. This key did not belong to her. Perplexed, Sarah placed the brass key on her coffee table, and in that moment an eerie occurrence unfolded. The old grandfather clock that stood in the hallway, long silenced by a mechanical ailment, emitted a solitary, hollow chime echoing through the silent house. It was a sound that sent shivers down her spine, a sound that should not have been possible. Sarah wasted no time in reporting this bizarre incident to the authorities, her voice tinged with a mixture of confusion and fear. The responding officer, a figure of reassurance clad in uniform, initially brushed off her concerns as a mere mistake, a key in the mail, easily explained. But Sarah's intuition, her gut feeling that something was amiss, persisted. Reluctantly, the officer accepted the key as evidence, sealing it in a small evidence bag that would soon become the focal point of a chilling investigation that would unravel the tranquility of the quiet suburban neighborhood. Enter Detective Robert Harmon, a seasoned investigator with a penchant for unraveling mysteries that lurked beneath seemingly ordinary surfaces. As the case file landed on his desk during the morning briefing, the brass key sat there, seemingly innocuous yet radiating an unsettling aura. Delving into Sarah's background revealed a life devoid of criminality, a retired high school English teacher, a widow with children living far away. No red flags in her financial transactions, no suspicious activity in her digital footprint. She was, by all accounts, an innocent bystander thrust into a web of darkness. Forensic analysis yielded no fingerprints on the key except Sarah's own, no traces of DNA on the envelope save for a generic postmark. The key itself, a common Schlage model, well worn and aged, hinted at a past obscured by time. But it was the key's unique bidding pattern that would turn the tide of the investigation. A breakthrough emerged when Detective Harmon decided to run the key's pattern through the department database, unearthing a connection to a cold case from 7 years prior. This case, shrouded in shadows, involved a storage unit harboring sinister secrets, a place where blood-stained carpet, cutting tools, and haunting photographs of unconscious women had been discovered. The original investigation had hit a dead end, the perpetrator elusive. Diving into the dusty archives of the cold case, Harmon uncovered a trail of breadcrumbs left by a retired detective who had worked tirelessly to unveil the truth. The key belonged to the storage unit, rented under a false name, a ghostly figure who had vanished into the ether. Surveillance footage, DNA samples, all led to dead ends, but the photographs, haunting images of 5 women, 3 unidentified, hinted at a darkness that refused to be extinguished. As Sarah was shown these photographs, her unease grew, manifesting in the form of heightened security measures installed in her home. The key, a silent messenger of dread, raised questions that echoed in the corridors of her mind. Why her? Why now? The investigation took a new turn as modern techniques breathed life into old evidence. The partial DNA sample found a distant familial match, leading the investigators down a twisted path to Harold Jenkins, a man with a shadowed past who had once lived in close proximity to Sarah. A substitute teacher, a transient figure with a penchant for anonymity, Jenkins emerged as a specter from the past. His trail, a patchwork of gaps and inconsistencies, led to a small cabin registered in his deceased mother's name. Beneath the floorboards, a hidden chamber unveiled a chilling truth, a trove of brass keys, each bearing a name and date, a macabre catalog of lives intertwined with horror. The women from the photographs, their keys accounted for, but more keys, more names, whispered of a darkness that stretched beyond the known victims. Forensic teams unearthed human remains buried behind the cabin, a grim discovery that sent shockwaves through the investigation. Sarah, now under constant protection, watched as the manhunt for Jenkins unfolded on a national scale. The press christened him the Keymaster, a moniker that sent ripples of fear through the community, a reminder of the evil that lurked in the shadows. The hunt for Jenkins reached its climax in a remote wilderness, where a chance sighting by a wildlife photographer set the wheels of justice in motion. Jenkins, cornered and desperate, chose to evade capture, retreating to a lofty tower where he made his final stand. Negotiations fell on deaf ears, and as the tower was breached, his lifeless form greeted the authorities, a twisted enigma whose secrets died with him. Beside his body lay a journal, a testament to his depravity, his obsession with Sarah laid bare in ink. The key, a symbol of his twisted desires, a token of his malevolence. The investigation uncovered a trail of horror, a legacy of pain and suffering etched in the annals of time. The aftermath brought closure to families long haunted by the specter of the missing, yet it left scars that would never fully heal. Sarah, forever changed by the brush with darkness, could not return to the home that had become a battleground of fear. And as the brass keys sat in silent testimony in an evidence locker, they whispered a chilling truth that behind every ordinary facade, a darkness may lurk, unseen and waiting to be unlocked. Story 27. The apartment had sat in silence for months, a dormant space waiting to reveal its secrets. The new tenants, weary from the weight of moving, anticipated nothing more than layers of dust and perhaps a few forsaken relics left behind. Yet as they explored their new abode, one door stood defiantly closed, refusing to yield to their curiosity. It was a humble closet, but its stubborn lock hinted at a concealed mystery, a story untold. When the landlord finally intervened, coercion gave way to revelation. The door swung open, unveiling not mere clutter or discarded belongings, but a scene of eerie significance. The walls bore witness to a silent struggle, etched deeply with uneven, desperate scratches that spoke of confinement and fear. In the corner lay an antiquated flip phone, its screen frozen in time, casting a faint glow that illuminated a single, unread message. Detective Morgan Shaw, a seasoned investigator with a keen intuition, felt a chill dance down her spine as she surveyed the unsettling tableau before her. It wasn't the absence of blood or overt violence that unsettled her, but rather the haunting implications of those jagged marks, the silent cries for help, the futile resistance against an invisible oppressor. "We need forensics on site immediately," she instructed her partner, Officer Reed, who diligently documented the haunting evidence before them. "And fetch me the records of the previous tenants." The message on the phone, stark in its simplicity, bore a weight that belied its brevity. "I know what you did." The landlord, a fidgety man with perpetually clammy hands, nervously recounted how the previous tenant had vanished without a trace, leaving behind unpaid rent and a cloak of mystery. "A young woman kept to herself," he muttered, eyes darting away from the closet as if drawn by an unseen force. "Never a bother." Forensic analysis uncovered a chilling truth hidden within the scratches, traces of blood, most belonging to a single individual identified as Emma Caldwell, a 28-year-old woman reported missing months prior. Yet, amidst the familiar DNA, two samples stood out, one untraceable, the other belonging to a man supposedly deceased for years. "This defies all logic," Shaw pondered, studying the perplexing findings. Derek Mercer, a man declared dead following a tragic accident, had left an inexplicable imprint within the confines of the closet. The pieces of the puzzle were scattered, waiting to be connected. Emma's apartment whispered of a life interrupted, a narrative of abandonment and looming shadows. Unanswered calls, a neglected coffee mug, a meticulously made bed all painted a portrait of a woman on the precipice of a vanishing act, her existence slipping through the cracks of normalcy. The sister mentioned a mysterious boyfriend, Officer Reed relayed, piecing together the fragmented details. No name, just whispers of intensity and secrecy. Surveillance footage captured a cryptic figure, obscured by a baseball cap and cloaked in shadows, trailing Emma into the building, a specter of menace lurking in the periphery. The revelation of partial fingerprints belonging to Derek Mercer on the closet's doorknob ignited a spark of understanding amidst the darkness. Shaw's deduction was clear: Mercer had orchestrated a macabre charade, a dance of deception and domination. As the tendrils of the investigation extended, a connection emerged: a missing woman, Lynette Porter, entwined in a web of deceit spun by Mercer. Her voice, frail and haunted, echoed tales of captivity and coercion, a harrowing testimony to Mercer's insidious machinations. Journals stained with obsession, photographs capturing fear-frozen faces, and videos documenting unspeakable horrors painted a portrait of a man consumed by a thirst for power and control. The manhunt traversed boundaries, a relentless pursuit of a shadowy predator whose hunger for suffering knew no bounds. Mercer's capture at a bus terminal marked the beginning of the end, a closure to a chapter shrouded in darkness and despair. During interrogation, Mercer's serene facade cracked, revealing a twisted rationale rooted in delusion and malice. His words, laced with a chilling calm, belied the storm raging within a storm of manipulation and malevolence. The trial unveiled a tapestry of deceit woven by Mercer, a master manipulator who reveled in the agony of his victims. Emma's fate, sealed within the confines of that closet, remained a haunting enigma, a tragedy etched in silent screams and unanswered pleas. As the gavel fell, delivering a sentence devoid of redemption, Mercer's smile lingered, a sinister echo of a mind untethered from empathy or remorse. Lynette Porter, a survivor of Mercer's twisted game, stood tall in the courtroom, a beacon of resilience amidst the wreckage. While he rots in darkness, I'll bask in the light, her voice rang with defiance, a testament to the indomitable spirit that transcends even the darkest of shadows. The legacy of the case reverberated through the halls of justice, reshaping investigative protocols and shining a light on the shadows that lurk within seemingly ordinary spaces. Detective Shaw, keeper of Emma's silent plea, bore witness to the resilience of the human spirit, a reminder that even in the darkest of nights, the flicker of hope endures, casting shadows into the light.